It's Monday, July 20th. Today, shut down for the season. How wildfires and floodwaters are disrupting vacation plans for many Canadians. Also, all that's old is new again. Why, for these shoppers, secondhand is the first choice. Plus, crowning new kings of the beautiful game. How Spain conquered the World Cup and how Winnipeggers celebrated when the final whistle blew. Your Morning Winnipeg starts right now. Good morning, 6 a.m. on July 20th. Thanks for joining us here on CTV Your Morning Winnipeg. I'm Catherine Dow in the chair today for Rochelle Legacy. Tandy is joining us on weather today as well. Quite a beautiful weekend, and we have such an exciting show to get you today, including our own Ainsley McPhail is learning about something incredibly important. Winnipeg Search and Rescue. They do life-saving work. That's not an understatement. We're going to learn about some of the volunteers that dedicate their lives to this sort of calling and what kind of skills are needed to do this, because yes, as mentioned, just vital work for our province. Meanwhile, Tandy, wow, what a scorcher of a weekend. Just wondering how the weather's going to be treating us today.
Another scorcher for the rest of the week, but we like those warm temperatures, though they can make us feel a little drained, so always keep hydrated and make sure you have a water next to you. It's currently 19 degrees, so pretty warm right now. Partly cloudy skies outside, winds gusting west-southwest at 21 kilometers per hour. The pressure is falling and the humidity is sitting at 76%. So today we expect a mixed bag of temperatures as well as a mixed bag of what we're going to expect. So a mix of sun, cloud, and we also have a risk of thunderstorms. So looking at our satellite images, you can see we do have this low pressure system that's forming, and mostly for our friends in the north right now, they actually have some weather warnings in control. I'm just going to move the other way so that you can see that. Mostly for Oxford House and Norway House, as well as Barons River, they have a thunderstorm alert according to Environment Canada, as well as an air quality alert due to wildfires in the area, as well as wildfire smoke coming in from northeastern Ontario. So that's just something to keep in mind for our friends up there into the north, as well as air quality warnings, as I mentioned, for Thompson, Barons River, and for different parts of the province. But mostly for Winnipeg, it's going to be mostly clear, but we do also have that risk of thunderstorms or rain in the form of scattered rain or light precipitation. So just keep that in mind when traveling about. That would be for the late afternoon. And looking even into eastern Ontario, they do have those air quality warnings due to the wildfires and the smoke that's affecting the area. But as I mentioned before, we do have this low pressure system that's forming, and we might experience some thunderstorms later on today. But by the evening time and by later on tomorrow, it's going to taper off into northeastern Ontario. So that's just something to keep in mind. And looking at our 7-day forecast today, our high is 26 degrees. So pretty warm one, pretty scorcher as well for today.
Thanks, Tandy. Wildfires are disrupting vacation plans for many Canadians. Flames have come dangerously close to some cottages and cabins in Ontario. Here in Manitoba, it's floodwaters that are doing the damage. CTV's Alex Karpa has that story.
These are some of our favorite Manitoba campgrounds.
For Alicia Mitchell and her family, camping is an annual tradition, but this summer looked a little different.
Unfortunately, this summer we weren't able to secure any camping within Manitoba.
Mitchell says she's been checking Manitoba's campground reservation website regularly, hoping to snag a cancellation, but so far she hasn't had any luck.
We have done some camping outside of the province and just trying again and hoping for the best.
While demand for campsites remains high across Manitoba, many campgrounds are facing challenges related to flooding and ongoing impacts from raging wildfires. This was the scene earlier this week at Pasha Lake Cabins in northwestern Ontario. Owner Victoria Lafreniere has lived her whole life in the region and says she's never seen anything like this before.
There was embers flying everywhere. It was crazy.
She says the situation has improved over the last couple of days, but says the uncertainty of what could happen is impacting her business.
We actually seen a very significant loss of revenue. I've had a lot of people cancel the rest of the season as well. well, just because of the worry of the air quality and not knowing what could happen.
And it's not fire, but water that's causing chaos for some campgrounds in western Manitoba, still trying to recover from intensive flooding. Karen Goreluk lost 14 of the 22 sites at her campground after it was hit by 2 major floods in 3 weeks.
The land fell into the river. It's very sandy, and it just started to eat away the first flood, and the second flood took a whole bunch more. So that area, it's half gone.
A lot to navigate for campers like Mitchell, who remains hopeful a spot will open up somewhere this summer.
I have faith that we'll be able to secure a cancellation in one of the campgrounds and get one of those notifications. And if not, then we'll have to wait till next year.
Alex Carpa, CTV News, Winnipeg.
The city of Winnipeg is expanding a program that clears away needles in local parks. City Council approved a motion that will see a 5-month expansion of the proactive cleanup of needle debris and weapons in city parks initiative. The program was approved last year to improve public safety and limit exposure to biohazards. Going forward, crews will clear needles, paraphernalia, and biohazards from bus stops, transit shelters, sidewalks, and other public spaces.
We need to make sure that public spaces are available to the public, that families should not have to be concerned about needles in their parks and their playgrounds for their kids. People waiting for buses shouldn't have to put up with debris of needles laying or meth pipes, laying in the bus shelter. And so this is about taking the good work that has been done successfully, and reallocating some resources that are not being used currently and putting them to good use for the sake of the people of Winnipeg.
The city will pay for the expansion with $206,000 that had been approved for a 24/7 safe space program. The space recently closed. A previous city report says the existing needle removal program helped get rid of more than 6,000 needles and 177 weapons. No specific locations for the newly enhanced program have yet been identified. The mayor says the expansion will begin immediately and run through the end of the year. The Prime Minister and Canada's premiers are heading to Prince Edward Island this week for their latest First Ministers meeting. The leaders will gather in Charlottetown for meetings on Tuesday and Thursday. The premiers are set to discuss a range of issues, including healthcare, affordability, national security, and public safety. But looming large over all those discussions will also be the issue of trade and Canada-U.S. relations.
There are obviously a host of ongoing issues. But in today's day and age, I don't know that leaders can gather without the beginning, middle, and end of the discussions really being dominated by Donald Trump, the White House, and where things stand on trade. And I think increasingly the question that people are asking themselves, that the leaders are asking themselves, is how long can we continue in this state of, to a certain degree, uncertainty before we start to see businesses relocate, before we start to see jobs lost. And that takes you to the hard question of, well, do we try to rush towards some kind of deal with Donald Trump, or do we just hold our cards in the hopes that Donald Trump's political position will weaken, and that will mean that we're in a better position with respect to negotiations?
For his part, BC Premier David Eby told the Canadian press he plans to tell the Prime Minister he'd prefer no deal with the U.S. over a bad one. Rescue crews in China are racing against the clock to find survivors after a landslide in the city of Chongqing killed at least 8 people. The rain-triggered landslide hit the southwestern city in China on Friday morning, burying more than 10 residential buildings and forcing more than 1,000 people to evacuate. Rescue experts spent the weekend using excavators, dogs, and detectors to comb through rubble in search of survivors. 10 people were rescued from the debris, with 2 seriously injured. At least 34 people are still missing as rescue crews brace for more rain and the risk of another landslide. The bones of the new multi-million-dollar Sutton Place Hotel are rising in downtown Winnipeg, and the city is going to help make it easier for people to access it once it opens. City Council has approved spending up to $3 million to connect the hotel to the public skywalk system. In 2018, Council already approved a $2 million grant towards public infrastructure for this hotel. The extra $1 million will come from a tax increments financing grant. That means the money will be paid back using the hotel's property taxes over roughly 5 years. The money, however, is conditional on matching support from the province. This new pig is bringing home the bacon. Perched atop a giant hill in Colombia, this piggy bank weighs roughly 30 tons and stands 9 meters tall. And it now holds the Guinness World Record for the largest piggy bank in the world, and it is all for a great cause. Built with a working slot, visitors are encouraged to drop their change into the sculpture, with all proceeds being donated to local animal shelters in the city. Taking your first check-in on traffic brings us to Confusion Corner. Looks like a pretty quiet drive, as is to be expected this morning. If you've got any traffic updates to share, text them to us at 10400. This brings us to our first check-in with CTV's Ainsley McPhail, who's learning all about Winnipeg's search and rescue this morning. Good morning, Ainsley.
Good morning, Catherine. Now, it's never a call that a family wants to get. And it's never a situation that they want to be in where they're looking for a loved one. But volunteers in Manitoba are assisting the police in those rescue efforts. We also are going to be learning about the canine advocacy as well, and even meeting one of the canines today with Winnipeg Search and Rescue. But here we are at their HQ. We're going to learn a bit about Project Lifesaver, which assists families who have a loved one with Alzheimer's or dementia, or even a child with a nonverbal disability as well. We're going to learn about the tracking, the location, and the level of volunteerism as well. If this is for you, watch and listen throughout the morning.
All right, looking forward to that. Thanks, Ainsley. Checking up on the rooftop with Tandy. It's looking quite blustery up there, Tandy.
Yeah, no, it's pretty windy right now, and those winds are only going to increase throughout the morning, according to Environment Canada. It's 19 degrees right now, winds gusting west-southwest at 22 kilometers per hour. The pressure is falling, and the humidity is sitting at 79%. So yes, it's a little bit windy right now, but those winds will increase. According to Environment Canada, they can go anywhere from 40 to 60 kilometers per hour, so quite intense winds for us on tap for the rest of the day, but that'll be in the later part of the afternoon. And looking across the province, specifically in Thompson right now, they have 2 warnings in effect. Air quality warnings because of the smoke in the area, as well as a yellow warning for thunderstorms. They have that risk of a thunderstorm. So does Winnipeg, Brandon, and parts of southern Manitoba due to this low pressure system that's been forming out in the west. So when you're traveling about today, just keep that in mind. So yes, it's going to be a warm one. It's going to be a hot one. 26 degrees is our high, but that risk of light precipitation and thunderstorms for the later afternoon. So grab an umbrella, a raincoat, just in case, and have it with you. We're taking a break right now, but we'll be back with more CTV Your Morning Winnipeg.
Weather is brought to you by Blinds Are Beautiful. Our new Hunter Douglas showroom is at 900 Lorimer.
The Assembly of Manitoba Chiefs is offering its support to Shamattawa after the First Nation declared a state of emergency.
Right now, we are needing further supports to be directed to Shamattawa right now.
That call comes as the First Nation deals with a growing hepatitis A outbreak. Hepatitis A is a highly contagious but is preventable through vaccination and hygiene measures. The declaration was made to strengthen the public health response and get the community resources.
There's so many different barriers to accessing, healthcare services, supports, especially being an isolated, remote First Nations community. So there's, more barriers that the community is currently facing in terms of preventative measures, vaccinations, needing more healthcare professionals in the community to support everyone right now.
AMC is calling for immediate emergency funding, additional healthcare personnel, supplies, and vaccinations, as well as long-term investments in healthcare infrastructure, housing, clean water, and sanitation. As of July 5th, 867 hepatitis A cases have been reported in Manitoba. There are more than 940 active wildfires burning across the country, and the situation in northern Ontario remains dire. New photos show fire has destroyed the community of Whitewater Lake First Nation. 10 communities have already been evacuated, and others are being told to be ready to go at any time. Evacuation flights will start taking people to Toronto because Thunder Bay has run out of space to host people fleeing the fires. Ontario Premier Doug Ford was in Thunder Bay over the weekend.
Absolutely every resource we can possibly throw at this, including bringing people in from Alberta, firefighters and water bombers from the Yukon.
Some people who had to leave their homes for safety say the response from Ontario and Ottawa has been too slow. Prime Minister Mark Carney says in a statement, quote, Canada is taking an all-hands-on-deck approach. He adds more than 5,300 firefighting personnel have been deployed across the country. Recent rain has helped to slow the growth of some fires in Ontario, but officials say much more is needed. U.S. President Donald Trump is now thinking about charging Canada for wildfire smoke that has drifted into the States.
I have a good relationship with Mark Carney, but, you know, we got to stop the fires up there. If we can help them, we'll help them. But maybe they should pay us some damages or something, or we should do some tariffs.
U.S. President Trump says Canadian wildfires have poisoned U.S. air and told reporters last night that something needs to be done. He's threatened to top up the import tariffs he's already levied on Canadian goods in response and says he plans to speak with Prime Minister Mark Carney about the situation. Facing climbing costs, more Canadians are turning to thrifting to save some money. Business is booming at some secondhand stores that offer used goods for much less than retail stores. CTV's Kathy Lee with the other reason resale is on the rise.
That's cool too.
For this young couple, thrift shopping isn't just about the thrill of the hunt.
I'm hoping to find maybe a new shirt or some jean shorts.
It's also a way to stretch their budget.
Jeans are super expensive. I have a pair in my bag that I just got for like $15 and they would have sold for like way more.
And in another section of World Serve thrift store, Pete DeYoung is also looking for a bargain.
I did find a ZZ Top shirt that's actually double extra chubby so it would fit me. And it's only $4.
Like them, many Canadians are turning to thrift stores to save money. A spring survey from Habitat for Humanity Restore found 3 in 5 Canadians plan to thrift this year, driven in part by the cost of living. Months later, Sarah Peters, manager of World Serve Thrift Store, says she's seeing that growing interest.
We've definitely seen a huge increase, I would say, from March.
Business has become so busy here that in the last year, this thrift store has extended its hours to accommodate the growing demand.
The numbers are definitely increasing due to affordability of everything.
But saving money is only part of the story. Thrifting has become part of the culture for many shoppers.
You know, over the last 10 years has been sort of, the stigma around thrifting has gone away, especially for young people. It's a bit of a badge of honor now.
What is this?
For them, buying secondhand is also about giving clothes a second life.
For the environment is also a big thing for me.
And it's their way of reducing waste.
We want to stop, throwing out so much clothing.
One thrift store find at a time. Kathy Lee, CTV News, Calgary.
A shirt worn by Brazilian footballing legend Pelé has sold for $4.9 million. That makes it the most valuable Pelé item ever sold at auction and the second most valuable football shirt ever sold. Pelé wore it on June 20th, 1958, as Brazil beat Sweden to win its first World Cup title. Pelé scored twice in that match as they won 5-2.
Traffic is brought to you by Mr. Lube Plus Tires, proudly keeping Canadians rolling for 50 years.
Some road closures to remind you about this morning. On Osborne Street, one south or northbound lane will be closed from Pembina to Mulvey Avenue, and a temporary median crossover will happen. The eastbound curb and median lane on Grant Avenue will be closed from Haney to Shaftesbury Boulevard, and the eastbound curb lane on McDermott Avenue will be closed from Princess to King Street. If you have any traffic tips or updates to share, text them to us at 10400.
The CTV Live Eye is brought to you by Bath Fitter, your bath and shower experts for more than 40 years.
Okay, it's currently 19 degrees, partly cloudy outside, but that sun is peeking through. Winds gusting west-southwest at 22 kilometers per hour. The pressure is falling and the humidity is sitting at 79%. So 19 degrees right now on us on tap, which is pretty warm for the start of the year, or the day, pardon me. Looking at the rest across the province, Portage at 19 degrees, Brandon 18 degrees, Dauphin also at 19 degrees. Looking up into Island Lake, it's 19 degrees. I did check with Environment Canada. Lynn Lake is at 16 degrees currently, with Churchill at 9 degrees and Thompson at 14 degrees. Now, looking into our sky watch, we do have a weather alert right now. Up in the north, they do have that risk of thunderstorm, according to Environment Canada. They also have that risk of quite intense winds, anything from 90 kilometers per hour. So that's something to keep in mind. For Winnipeg, we also do have that risk, but that's for the later part of the afternoon. But again, in the north, there's also an air quality warning for different parts of Thompson, Oxford House, Barons River, and that's because of the smoke around the area, as well as the smoke coming in from northeastern Ontario due to those wildfires. So keep that in mind as you're traveling about and going throughout the day. But for Winnipeg today, 20 degrees by 8 a.m. as well as by the afternoon would be 24 to 25 degrees. But we do have that risk of a thunderstorm as well as light precipitation, and those wind gusts will increase anything from 40 to 60 kilometers per hour. So quite intense winds for us on tap. 26 degrees today is going to be our high, and looking out through the rest of the week, it's mostly sunny skies and high 30s, low 30s, as well as high 20s. Now, looking at our beautiful pick of the day from Tanya. How gorgeous. That's a beautiful bumblebee buzzing around the daisy. Please keep those pictures coming. We're taking a break right now, but we'll be back with more CTV Your Morning Winnipeg.
Do you have a glorious garden? Well, here at Your Morning Winnipeg, we would love to see how you are passionate about your yard work. It could be an annual, perennial, or vegetable. Tell us about your garden and enter the contest to win a $500 gift card from St. Mary's Nursery and Garden Center. Plus, have the chance to show off your garden live on Your Morning Winnipeg with a visit from Ainsley McPhail. To enter, head to the contest page on our website, ctvwinnipeg.ca, and fill out the form with your answer and photos. Good luck. What started as a giant tree burl has become a huge part of one Duncan resident's life. Decades after digging it up, the man is looking for a new home for his one-of-a-kind natural work of art. CTV's Adam Sawatsky explains.
That last time Glenn McLeod sat on his beloved tree's bulbous base, he had to say goodbye.
It was a horrible feeling. I knew that I couldn't save it.
The tree that had helped turn his family's house into a home was dead. So Glenn wondered if he could find a way to keep its legacy alive.
And there's all kinds of stuff you can do with burl.
Glenn thought he could maybe turn the growth at the base of the trunk into a couple commemorative bowls, until he discovered the burl was growing 3 feet underground.
So I thought I'll dig it out by hand.
By hand with a shovel?
Yeah.
Because despite being a professional backhoe operator, Glenn felt compelled to keep the 6,000-pound burl intact.
A lot of people thought I was crazy.
Yet 3 weeks later, he did what they said he couldn't. And then, despite no previous experience, Glenn started transforming it.
I knew that one day I was going to have something there.
Glenn sanded and polished the burl 20 hours a week for more than 6 years, revealing patterns in the wood he found mesmerizing.
It helped me mentally, I think.
It was part hobby, part therapy, and for the hundreds of people who visited the burl after noticing it at the end of Glenn's driveway, it was all good.
Labor of love is what most people call it.
And then there was the one person who called it inspiring, after wrapping her arms around it, wiping away tears, and revealing she'd just beaten cancer.
And she said, "This reminds me of that because you've taken something that was basically dead and you've just brought it right back to life."
The next chapter in the burl's life, however, is unknown. Glenn has to downsize and is hoping someone from a university or airport will find a place to display it publicly.
I can't sell the house and leave it here unless somebody wants to buy it and have a museum here.
Although it has already left a legacy here. After Glenn found a baby tree sprouting near where the burl once grew, that he planted where its parents once stood, where it's now thriving.
So that's my way of giving it back to nature, you know?
It's gratitude, Glenn says, for all the joy the burl's brought, and hopefully continue to. Adam Sawatsky, CTV News.
19 degrees right now. Partly cloudy outside, but that sun is peeking through. Winds gusting west-southwest at 22 kilometers per hour. The pressure is falling and the humidity is sitting at 79%. So right now, looking into our satellite images, you can see we do have these low pressure systems that have been forming, and for parts up in the north, they have been experiencing some thunderstorms and some rain in the form of light precipitation. They actually have some yellow warnings in effect right now, and also some yellow air quality warnings in effect from most parts in the north due to that wildfire smoke. So that's just a good thing to keep in mind, and stay indoors as much as you can, because it's a mix of that as well as a mix of the heat with different highs between 20 to 28 degrees. So just another thing to keep in mind. And looking out as well in eastern Ontario, they do also have those air quality warnings in effect due to that wildfire smoke. But for Winnipeg today, our high is going to be 26 degrees, winds gusting northwest at 40 to 60 kilometers per hour, so quite intense winds. We do have that risk of a thunderstorm in the late afternoon, so that's something to keep in mind. Grab that raincoat, umbrella just in case, because we could experience that, as well as a 60% chance of light precipitation in the form of showers or rain, according to Environment Canada, but that'll be for the later part of the afternoon. But for today, we have that mix of sun and cloud throughout the day with those high of 26 degrees. And looking into the evening time, 14 degrees, the winds will decrease, gusting north at 20 kilometers per hour. But again, we still have that 60% chance of showers in the evening time. But by the time it's tomorrow, it's 23 degrees, so a little bit low seasonally because our average is usually about 26. But again, it's going to be a cool sunny day, winds gusting northwest at 20 kilometers per hour. And that's the rest of the week, just sunshine on tap for us here in the Winnipeg.
Thanks, Tandy. The search continues today for two boys swept into rapids at Nudimick Lake in the Whiteshell. RCMP say the boys, ages 10 and 13, have been missing since Saturday. Lac du Bonnet RCMP say they received a report of a possible drowning near Sturgeon Falls Trail just after 12:30 p.m. on Saturday. Officers, along with local fire crews and EMS, responded immediately and found the two boys, who are related, had been swept into the rapids at Sturgeon Falls. An RCMP spokesperson says one boy slipped on the rocks and fell into the water. And as of Sunday afternoon, they believe the older boy went into the water to help the younger one. The RCMP's underwater recovery team and the Hatarian Emergency Aquatic Response Team have both been deployed to help. As of Sunday afternoon, patrols of the water and shoreline, aided by drones, have not located either boy. RCMP say the search will continue until both boys are found. Winnipeggers showed up in full force Sunday afternoon to cheer on Argentina and Spain during the World Cup final. These are some of the scenes at True North Square yesterday in downtown Winnipeg. During halftime, an event organizer for the watch party estimates some 600 people were in attendance, packing the venue. She says from her personal observance, there was more red in the crowd and thus more Spain fans. And the celebration wasn't stopping when the final whistle blew.
We have, of course, a DJ and a host that we're going to hype up the fans, and then, yeah, just a party the night away. We're only not in night because we're only here until 7. But in our neighboring street here at Graham, there's going to be a salsa Sunday. So after our event, they could certainly head to the next event, which is just around here, the street, the Graham Avenue, so they could continue the party on this time with the salsa dancing.
And of course, Spain is on top of the football universe after beating Argentina to take home the World Cup.
Pedro Porro, Williams, and somebody in for Spain by Ferran Torres!
That was the magic moment that clinched the World Cup for Spain. Ferran Torres converts on the backheader to score the goal of his life in extra time. Despite the 1-0 final, the game wasn't that close. Spain dominated play for much of the game, and Argentina didn't register a shot until extra time. At the end, all the defending champs could do was watch Spain lift the World Cup trophy. And Spain now has its second World Cup title. It is also the current holder of the Women's World Cup and Euro Championship. The loss also marks the end of Lionel Messi's international career. He was held scoreless in the final, which gave France's Kylian Mbappe his second Golden Boot. Argentina's loss also means no team has repeated a World Cup champ since Brazil in 1962. And this World Cup was hosted by Canada, the U.S. and Mexico at a time of noticeable tension between the North American neighbors. The leaders of all three countries attended together despite those pressures. CTV's Jeremy Sharon with the politics at play.
Argentina, the reigning champions.
On the pitch, the stakes were clear.
The day a planet stops for a game.
The title of world champion up for grabs.
Argentina's approach to this final has been, by comparison with Spain's roller coaster.
But in the stands in New Jersey today, there were politics at play too. The leaders of all three host nations watching on together. Prime Minister Mark Carney and Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum joining U.S. President Donald Trump for the big game.
This is important for Mark Carney. It may not be a formal meeting. It may not have a formal agenda. The stakes may not be high, but the opportunity is present.
A casual setting at the world's biggest sporting event, valuable face-to-face time between leaders. Here, Carney and Trump seen speaking ahead of kickoff.
No, I wouldn't be looking for Mark Carney to walk away with the golden boot. This isn't about securing some kind of major victory, but it is an opportunity to put things back on the pitch.
The three leaders whose countries collectively hosted the tournament together now at a time of tension. Trump has forced Carney to concede revenues to open the Gordie Howe Bridge and threatened tariffs over Canadian wildfire smoke reaching the U.S. The president offering this remark as the World Cup comes to an end.
You should choose the United States of America again. This time we'll leave Mexico and Canada out.
That, as Trump chose earlier this month not to extend the North American Free Trade Pact that both Canada and Mexico wanted to, pushing the three countries into yearly reviews of the Canada-U.S.-Mexico agreement for the next 10 years. Mexico has held its own bilateral negotiations with the U.S., but insists it won't leave Canada behind.
The USMCA is a trilateral agreement. And of course, I think the three countries agree that that architecture should continue.
Mexican and U.S. officials are set to host a third round of official trade talks next week, while Canada has yet to make any formal inroads on trade negotiations.
Taking a look at the current traffic situation around Portage Avenue, around Polo Park. It's a sunny start to your drive as traffic volume's starting to increase. If you have any traffic tips to share, text them to us at 10400. Taking a look at your gas prices in Winnipeg, the average is $1.65. The lowest price in the city is $1.54. All this information is on GasBuddy.com.
The Price at the Pump is brought to you by the Kidney Foundation. Help by donating your card today. Weather is brought to you by ABC Fire and Safety, your CO2 refill store.
Okay, so it's a little windy out here right now, and that wind's only going to increase throughout the afternoon according to Environment Canada, anything from 40 to 60 kilometers per hour. But right now it's 19 degrees, partly cloudy outside, but I see that sun beginning to peek through a little bit more. That cloud coverage will increase throughout the morning. Winds gusting west-southwest at 22 kilometers per hour. The pressure is falling and the humidity is sitting at 79%. So yes, as I said, we will experience some intense wind gusts throughout the morning, and this is across the province, especially some places up in the north which have yellow weather warning watches on right now. This is due to thunderstorms as well as the smoke, and they could receive anything from 90 kilometers of wind gusts. So that's just something to keep in mind when traveling about. But again, today for mostly southern Manitoba, it's mostly going to be sunshine, mixture of clouds on tap with that chance of rain or precipitation in the form of light showers. Now we're heading over to see what Ainsley's up to this morning. Hey Ainsley, how's it going?
Good morning. It's great. It's my first time with Winnipeg Search and Rescue, and I'm learning all about the organization. Doug Larcombe joins me now. And please share about its history.
Sure. Winnipeg Search and Rescue was started in 2002 by Winnipeg police officers that saw a need for greater resources if someone was missing. It originally started with off-duty police officers and then slowly moved to civilian members of the police, and then outside went to regular civilians. So a lot of the members now are made up of just civilians from all walks of life.
So you don't just throw people in, there is a training process. What does that look like?
So we have monthly training twice a month, but we also have minimum courses like ground search and rescue over a couple weekends that they have to take. There's first aid training they have to take before they can go in the field. We have a pretty extensive training course, and we work very hard to maintain the skills and knowledge of our searchers through the regular training. Everybody's expected to train minimum of once a month.
Wow. And these folks on the other side of things going through a situation where they can't find a family member, it's just horrible. You are on that side of things.
Yes, unfortunately, we had a situation where my father disappeared on us with a vehicle. He has some dementia, so there was some real concerns. We were very fortunate that he was located, and in this situation, CTV News played a big part. It was the silver alert published through CTV News that the medical team at the Melfort Hospital in Saskatchewan were able to connect us back with my father. So the media and the public can play a very large role in locating something. It just adds more eyes to the search. So we really appreciate the support of the media and support of the public.
Thank you so much for sharing. And it's a group effort, everybody working together. We're going to be chatting with volunteers throughout the morning.
Now look at the early markets. The Dow Jones increased 118 points. The Nasdaq is 191 points up. The S&P index had small gains. The Canadian dollar is lower, set to 71.30 cents U.S. Overseas, the Hang Seng climbed 580 points, and the Nikkei plummeted 2,694 points. Welcome back. Winnipeg police have arrested 4 people, and they're looking for another man after 13 people had their catalytic converters stolen. Police say starting at the end of April, there was an increase in catalytic converter thefts being reported. The thefts caused more than $20,000 in damage. With the help of video surveillance, police were able to identify a number of suspects. 4 people between the ages of 36 and 51 have been arrested. They're facing theft-related charges. Police, however, are still looking for a 5th suspect. And RCMP are asking for your help identifying suspects after an ATM was stolen in Dauphin. Shortly before 5 the morning of July 13th, RCMP responded to an alarm at a business in the 1400 block of Main Street. 2 people were seen driving up in an orange utility task vehicle, then smashing a window. They pried the door open, strapped up the ATM, and dragged it out. Police hope you can identify the suspects in the surveillance video and track down the UTV. Police say the orange vehicle was stolen from a nearby business the night before the theft. The UTV is a 2012 Kubota RTV 900 XT with an Alberta license plate UTZ62. Anyone with information on the suspects or the thefts are asked to call Dauphin RCMP or Crime Stoppers. Now to the Middle East, where U.S. military officials are confirming the death of a 3rd service member this weekend. CENTCOM says they were killed during controlled detonation of a downed Iranian drone in northern Iraq, as deadly fighting escalates once again across the region. U.S. officials also shared video of attacks launched on Iran for the 8th night in a row. As well as strategic targets, the U.S. also claims it targeted Iran Revolutionary Guards responsible for killing 2 troops in Jordan on Friday. Iran carried out its own wave of strikes on targets in several countries, including Jordan and Kuwait. With diplomacy stalled over the conflict and the Strait of Hormuz, oil prices have skyrocketed across the globe.
We did a pause to try to get an agreement with the Iranian people to allow oil to flow without them attacking it. They've proven unwilling to do that, and we've pivoted. Now what we're doing is assuring that oil and gas and other products can flow through the Strait of Hormuz with or without Iranian cooperation. And we've continued to degrade their offensive military capabilities. The president is always looking for the diplomatic off-ramp. President Trump wants to end it with a peaceful agreement with Iran, but it takes 2 parties to do that. If they're ready to do that, that's the way it'll end. If not, we will continue to assure flow of traffic through the strait without Iran's cooperation.
U.S. Energy Secretary Chris Wright also noted that Trump's administration's determination to keep Iran from obtaining a nuclear weapon. Tehran has long claimed it doesn't want one. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers took a trip to the nation's capital Sunday night for a tilt against the Red Blacks. The Bombers looking to extend their win streak to 3 games. Winnipeg trailed for much of this one, but drew even thanks to this Drew Brown to Pokey Wilson pass late in the 4th. On the field, it was ruled down at the 1, but the replay center overturned that call and credited Winnipeg with a touchdown, tying things up at 26 apiece. In overtime, both teams trade scores to keep it even. Then in the dying seconds, the Bombers find the end zone a few times to draw ahead by 2. Ottawa misses their chance to tie it. And that is where this one ends. Bombers 36, Red Blacks 34. Winnipeg coming away with their 3rd win in a row. They next see action Friday at home as they host Calgary. Some road closures to remind you about this morning. On Osborne Street on south or northbound lanes will be closed from Pembina to Mulvey Avenue, and a temporary median crossover will take place. The eastbound curb lane and median lane on Grant Avenue will be closed from Haney to Shaftesbury Boulevard. And the eastbound curb lane on McDermott Avenue will be closed from Princess to King Streets. If you have any traffic tips or updates to share, text them to us at 10400.
It's 19 degrees right now, mostly partly cloudy outside with that sun peeking through, winds gusting west-southwest at 20 kilometers per hour. The pressure is falling and the humidity is sitting at 79%. Now, looking at our satellite image, as you can see, we do have this low pressure system that's been forming for parts of the morning. It came in from the west, tapering into parts of the province. For our friends up in the north, they do have some thunderstorm warnings, unfortunately, according to Environment Canada. In fact, just this morning, they were experiencing those, I don't know if you can see those lightning bolts that we have over there on the top, but they've been experiencing some intense rain as well as those thunderstorms, even Norway House, Thompson, Barons River. So that's just something to keep in mind for the rest of the day. But looking at what we have on tap for our highs today, 14 degrees in Churchill, mostly sunny with that clouds peeking through. In Gillam, 18 degrees with that light precipitation in the form of rain. Thompson, as I mentioned, they do have that risk of a thunderstorm and rain in the form of heavy to moderate rain, according to Environment Canada. Lynn Lake at 22 degrees, mostly sunny out there. Norway House 21 degrees, but I do want to note they do have a risk of a thunderstorm, according to Environment Canada as well. Same with Flin Flon and OCN in the PA. And then now looking into Swan River, same thing, 21 degrees, that risk of a thunderstorm. Dauphin, 23 degrees with that risk of light precipitation in the form of rain and showers, as well as in Brandon. And looking into Winnipeg, high of 26 today, but we also do have that risk of thunderstorms for most of southern Manitoba. Our high, as I said, 26, but that risk, 60% chance of precipitation according to Environment Canada. So keep that in mind. Grab that raincoat, grab that umbrella, just in case, though it's hot outside.
Thanks, Tandy. Let's check in now with our pals, Bo and Gabby at Bounce 99.9. Happy Monday, you two.
Hey, happy Monday to you too, and the sun is shining, and never mind that umbrella. I keep mine in the garage where it does absolutely no good. Hey, listen, Catherine, right off the top, it's Moon Day, the anniversary of the moon landing back in '69. There are lots of songs with moon in the title. You know one offhand? I hate to spring this on you, but can you name one?
Probably Moon River, Blue Moon.
Oh,
perfect. I got it. Not bad for a Monday morning at 6:53.
No. We love Moon River, so we're going to play some Moon songs after 8 o'clock on Bounce today and give away some tickets to the Burt Block Party. So get ready with your Moon songs.
I'm so impressed. Bo asked me the same question, and I had to go to Google because I was like, I have no idea. I can't name a single song with Moon in the title. Bo, come on. But we want to talk about summer memories. You know my dad. So for me, it was a lot of road tripping, a lot of saving money by staying in campgrounds. But I have this vivid memory of our family going to Niagara Falls, stack of books in the car in the back, separating me and my sister from fighting. And he really wanted to get to Niagara Falls quickly, so he made us like bathe in gas station bathrooms. I remember at one point just showering so we could get to Niagara. It's peak Fraser, but we had a great time, and we did make it to Marine World, which turns out is maybe not such a great place. But hey, how about you?
You know, actually similar road trip. I remember one specific summer we rented a van with a TV, and my sisters and I were really into the OC, so we were watching the OC, but my dad was driving, and he's obviously not watching, but he can hear it, so it's like a radio play. So if ever there was like silent action, he'd be like, "What's happening? What's happening?" He was really invested. Anyway, it was a lot of fun.
Road trips are the best. I always enjoyed them when I was a kid and also when I was a dad taking my kids around. Always some great memories. For me, especially cheap motels. My dad loved those. Anyway, have a great summer day.
Same to you both. Enjoy. Now, the first Royal Canadian Legion turned 100 years old this past weekend, and several legions were founded first here in Winnipeg. But a century later, the number of members is dwindling, and many branches have closed. Still, as CTV's Joseph Bernacki shows you, legions here in Winnipeg are finding a way to chart a path forward.
Party. Oh.
Inside Charleswood Legion Branch 100, members honor a once-in-a-lifetime milestone. A century's worth of history can be traced back to July 17th.
100 years, let's face it. How many people really get to celebrate an anniversary for 100 years?
Gary Parrington spent more than 21 years in the Canadian Army working as a mechanic. He joined fellow veterans and friends here Friday to mark 100 years of Legion history in Canada. What you may not know is Legion started in Winnipeg.
Delegates met from across Canada at the Marlborough Hotel, and on this date in 1926 they signed a proclamation creating the British Empire League, the forerunner of our modern Royal Canadian Legion.
Tom Crew, a Legion member and local historian, says there was a boom in branches opening in the years after.
At one point following World War II, we were up well over 1,000 branches across the country.
But these days, the Legions look a little different inside. Many of those who have served have passed on, leaving branches little option but to close or merge with existing ones.
In our district, District 4, we have a couple branches that there's one, maybe two members, and that's it.
Cohen Rutledge, Executive Director of the Royal Canadian Legion for Manitoba and Northwestern Ontario, says there are 125 existing branches left in the region. Rutledge acknowledged there needs to be a push from the younger generation to join up. He says Legions are offering free memberships this year for the anniversary. At Charleswood, weekly meat draws and Chase the Ace events bring in their share of regulars.
It's a gathering place for a community. It's somewhere where you can sit down at a big table and sort of just get enveloped in the conversation and what's going on.
While the future of more branches across the country may be in doubt for the next century, Rutledge hopes the next generation will embrace the camaraderie in a place that is open to all.
There's no grandiose answer to that. I think it really just has to do with connections at the personal level.
You got to let the public themselves know that, hey, it's not just for veterans.
Joseph Bernacki, CTV News, Winnipeg.
Coming up after the break, we're going to learn more about Winnipeg search and rescue, but down Taché Avenue, traffic's moving on a good clip. It's Monday, July 20th. Today, a strain on tourism, how flooding and wildfires are impacting this year's camping season. Plus, a community in crisis. Which Manitoba First Nation is dealing with the hepatitis A outbreak? And a viral video, how some lighthearted fun is helping a local market go viral. Your Morning Winnipeg starts right now. Welcome back, 7 a.m. on your Monday. Thanks for joining us here on CTV Your Morning Winnipeg. I'm Catherine Dow in the chair today for Rochelle Legacy. Tandy Vera helping us out on weather. We've got a lot on the go today, including coming up in the 8 o'clock hour. We have a very important interview. I'm not sure if you're aware. It's National Drowning Prevention Day. Very important because our summers in Manitoba, so fleeting, so beautiful. We want to be spending all that time out on the waterways, but of course, we really need to be safe when we're doing so. So we're going to get some tips on how to stay safe, what you need if you're boating, swimming, everything you need to know to make sure that summer day keeps being fun. So those details are coming up in the 8 o'clock hour. But right now, Tandy, this is beach weather if I've ever seen it.
It is beach weather, but there is that risk of rain or a thunderstorm. We did have some rain last night, and even in Norway House, they had a thunderstorm last night, different parts up in the north. So that's just something to keep in mind when traveling about. 19 degrees right now. Mostly sunny outside, I would say. Winds gusting west-southwest at 22 kilometers per hour. The pressure is falling and the humidity is sitting at 79%. So yes, as I said, last night in the early hours of the morning, about 12 a.m. to 1 a.m., Norway House, Thompson, different parts up in the north were experiencing some thunderstorms, and that's due to a low-pressure system that was forming out from the west and then tapered into many parts of the province, mostly up into the north. We do have that risk for Manitoba, southern Manitoba, as well as central Manitoba. So that's just, again, something to keep in mind. But looking right now at our Skywatch weather alert, we do have weather alerts here. I'll move out of the way so you can see properly for Oxford House, Norway House, Thompson, as well as the Barons River area. So that's just something to keep in mind. According to Environment Canada, there might be intense winds too, anything from 90 kilometers per hour, as well as hail the size of a quarter apparently. So just keep that in mind for the rest of the day and try stay indoors as much as you can. And we also have air quality warnings, again, mostly in the north, but due to that wildfire smoke in the area, as well as from eastern Ontario. Tandy, what are you doing? Coffee time. And again, as I said, we do have that chance of precipitation for us, but it's going to taper off by Wednesday. So by Wednesday, you're going to see it's mostly going to be clearing out for us, but we do have that risk of a thunderstorm later on in the afternoon for most of southern Manitoba and most of the province. So looking into our 7-day forecast today, we have a high of 26 degrees, so a warm day, but again, that chance, 60% chance of rain, so keep that in mind. Now, looking at our beautiful weather art of the day from Tasneem, 10 years old, that's so beautiful. It's just reminding me of the summertime. Keep those pictures coming, please. To submit your child's weather art of the day, visit our website, ctvnewswinnipeg.ca, and fill out the form. Your art can be shown on Your Morning Winnipeg, and we'll also enter you into our monthly contest for a chance to win a $100 gift card from Cock-a-Doodle on Kenaston and Regent locations.
The weather art of the day is brought to you by Crock-a-Doodle Paint Your Own Pottery, now open on Regent and Kenaston.
Our favorite Manitoba campgrounds.
For Alicia Mitchell and her family, camping is an annual tradition, but this summer looked a little different.
Unfortunately, this summer we weren't able to secure any camping within Manitoba.
Mitchell says she's been checking Manitoba's campground reservation website regularly, hoping to snag a cancellation, but so far she hasn't had any luck.
We have done some camping outside of the province and just trying again and hoping for the best.
While demand for campsites remains high across Manitoba, many campgrounds are facing challenges related to flooding and ongoing impacts from raging wildfires. This was the scene earlier this week at Pasha Lake Cabins in northwestern Ontario. Owner Victoria Lafreniere has lived her whole life in the region and says she's never seen anything like this before.
There was embers flying everywhere. It was crazy.
She says the situation has improved over the last couple of days, but says the uncertainty of what could happen is impacting her business.
We actually seen a very significant loss of revenue. I've had a lot of people cancel the rest of the season as well, just because of the worry of the air quality and not knowing what could happen.
And it's not fire, but water that's causing chaos for some campgrounds in western Manitoba, still trying to recover from intensive flooding. Karen Goreluk lost 14 of the 22 sites at her campground after it was hit by 2 major floods in 3 weeks.
The land fell into the river. It's very sandy, and it just started to eat away the first flood, and the second flood took a whole bunch more. So that area, it's half gone.
A lot to navigate for campers like Mitchell, who remains hopeful a spot will open up somewhere this summer.
I have faith that we'll be able to secure a cancellation in one of the campgrounds and get one of those notifications. And if not, then we'll have to wait till next year.
Alex Carpa, CTV News, Winnipeg.
The Assembly of Manitoba Chiefs is offering its support to Shamattawa after the First Nation declared a state of emergency.
Right now, we are needing further supports to be directed to Shamattawa right now.
That all comes as the First Nation deals with a growing hepatitis A outbreak. Hepatitis A is highly contagious, but is preventable through vaccination and hygiene measures. The declaration was made to strengthen the public health response and get the community resources.
There's so many different barriers to accessing, healthcare services, supports, especially being an isolated, remote First Nations community. So there's, more barriers that the community is currently facing in terms of preventative measures, vaccinations, needing more healthcare professionals in the community to support everyone right now.
AMC is calling for immediate emergency funding, additional healthcare personnel, supplies and vaccinations, as well as long-term investments in healthcare infrastructure, housing, clean water, and sanitation. As of July 5th, 867 hepatitis A cases have been reported in Manitoba. City Council has approved the mayor's motion to maintain Winnipeg's tree planting budget. The motion proposed the city increase its debt capacity from higher water and waste revenues to cover the tree budget cut. The $1.2 million shortfall came after the province directed the city to divert the money to the Assiniboine Park Zoo for upgrades to the Journey to Churchill exhibit. Earlier this year, the city received an extra $48 million from water and waste revenue. A promotional video from a local market is grabbing people's attention. This video has received more than 4,100 likes since St. Leo Gardens Market posted it to its Instagram account last week. Excuse me, folks. It was created by a local marketing agency to highlight St. Leo's strawberries. The video features former employee Mikhail Beaudry dancing through the market. The company and Beaudry aren't exactly sure why people like it so much, but they have some ideas.
You don't see a lot of videos out there where people fully commit, fully are willing to embarrass themselves, fully willing to just like go 100%. And it's very inspiring, it's very fun, and it's heartwarming to see.
I just did it, and now it's viral, and I don't know why. I'm really confused, but it's really fun.
Beaudry hopes to keep showing off his moves, whether in more videos for the Gardens Market or on his own account. Taking a look at the current traffic situation at Main and Broadway, starting to build up a little bit out there with your current traffic volumes. No major stalls or crashes to tell you about, but of course, if you have a traffic tip, you can always text them to us at 10400.
Brookfield Asset Management and CPP Investments are buying LXP Industrial Trust in an all-cash deal valued at $5.2 billion, $61.20 a share in cash. LXP shares were up 4.1% in pre-market trading. The deal includes net debt and preferred equity in the transaction. The deal, approved unanimously by the LXP board, is expected to close in the fourth quarter. Ford and its Canadian union have ratified a contract that will mean wage increases and bonuses for thousands of workers, with the automaker committing to an investment in southwestern Ontario's engine plant. The collective agreement includes a new $700 million Canadian investment at its Essex engine plant in Windsor. Ford says the new money will maximize the 5-liter engine production and support the manufacturing of even larger engines. Many of those parts are shipped to Ford's U.S. assembly plants. Brent crude above 90 a barrel as the U.S. launches fresh strikes after American troops were killed in an Iranian attack in Jordan over the weekend. This, according to Commerce Bank in a note. U.S. equity futures, though, steadied in response to the strikes. Iran, meanwhile, has targeted Kuwait and other U.S. military facilities in Qatar and announced it was suspending its commitments under the interim peace agreement, as well as warning of further retaliation. Those are your morning business headlines. For BNN Bloomberg, I'm Roger Peterson.
CTV's Ainsley McPhail is live this morning learning all about Winnipeg Search and Rescue. Incredible life-saving work they do down there, Ainsley, and I'm just loving hearing about all these volunteers.
Well, it's a volunteer organization, 100% volunteers, alongside Winnipeg Police Service and RCMP, that can keep them up at all hours. There's no particular time when a person goes missing, and they're on the ground doing that. I'm holding here a receiver. What a wonky looking piece of equipment, eh? This is used for Project Lifesaver. Now, folks with Alzheimer's or dementia, or people who are nonverbal with various challenges, can utilize this, and if they go missing, they can use the technology in order to locate them. Sometimes they're finding themselves in the bush walking. There's a lot of training, and there's even a canine who you'll meet today.
Oh, looking forward to that. Thanks so much, Ainsley. Heading up onto the rooftop. Wow, Tandy, I hope you have your hairspray in, because my goodness, blustery to kick us off.
Yes, it's pretty windy out here right now. Very, very windy, and that wind is only going to increase throughout the morning and into the late afternoon. It's 19 degrees right now, mostly sunny outside, so beautiful sunshine on us right now. Winds gusting west at 25 to 32 kilometers per hour. The pressure is falling and the humidity is sitting at 79%. So today we're going to have this mixed bag of sunshine, a bit of cloud coverage, and we also have that risk of a thunderstorm for most parts of the province, and a 60% chance of light precipitation in the form of showers or rain. But again, it's going to be pretty windy outside, so keep that in mind when traveling about, and grab that raincoat and umbrella just in case. Over the weekend, I was watching Team Canada play rugby, and it was so hot hot by the early evening that they had to get the players off the field to take a break. By the time they were back on the field around 9 p.m., it started showering, and I just kept thinking to myself, oh my goodness, I should have packed my raincoat or my umbrella. So we do have that risk again today to have that rain and precipitation in the late afternoon or early evening hour. But again, these winds, it's windy right now, but it's only going to increase. My hair is just flying everywhere, and that's just across the province, with some places even receiving wind gusts as bad as 90 kilometers per hour. So travel probably for today. And that's all I have for you right now. We're taking a break right now, but we'll be back with CTV Your Morning Winnipeg.
Weather is brought to you by Canadian Footwear, helping you find the perfect fit.
Time now for our question of the day. Today is International Chess Day, something I know not how to play and I would be bad at. So that's what we want to know from you. Which board game are you best at? You can text your answer to 10400. Make sure to follow the automated instructions so we can feature your response. Don't forget to include your name.
Question of the day, brought to you by Provivo, Manitoba's #1 cool sculpting clinic, science-backed body contouring.
At Your Morning Winnipeg, we are all about celebrating your amazing pets, furry, feathered, or scaly. Your Pet of the Week submissions have been amazing, and we want to see even more. Whether it's dogs, cats, birds, any other pet pals, send them our way. Drop your pet photos and a fun little story about them to Pet of the Week at ctv.ca. Catch us every Thursday to find out if your pet is our Pet of the Week on Your Morning Winnipeg. Provencher Bridge moving along at a good clip. Looking gorgeous out there on your Monday morning drive. We're going to take a break. Stay with us. So much more Your Morning Winnipeg on the other side. The City of Winnipeg is expanding a program that clears away needles in local parks. City Council approved a motion that will see a 5-month expansion of the proactive cleanup of needle debris and weapons in city parks initiative. The program was approved last year to improve public safety and limit exposure to biohazards. Going forward, crews will clear needles, paraphernalia, and biohazards from bus stops, transit shelters, sidewalks, and other public spaces.
We need to make sure that public spaces are available to the public, that families should not have to be concerned about needles in their parks and their playgrounds for their kids. People waiting for buses shouldn't have to put up with debris of needles laying or meth pipes, laying in the bus shelter. And so this is about taking the good work that has been done successfully, and reallocating some resources that are not being used currently and putting them to good use for the sake of the people of Winnipeg.
The city will pay for the expansion with $206,000 that had been approved for a 24/7 safe space program. That space recently closed. A previous city report says the existing needle removal program helped get rid of more than 6,000 needles and 177 weapons. No specific locations for the newly enhanced program have been identified yet. The mayor says the expansion will begin immediately and run through the end of the year. A section of La Jamodier Boulevard is closed this morning as crews complete railway repairs. The road is closed between northbound Marion Street and Dugald Road. Southbound traffic is not affected. The closure began on Friday evening and is expected to end this morning. Drivers should expect delays and plan their detours. The bones of the new multi-million-dollar Sutton Place Hotel are rising in downtown Winnipeg, and the city is going to help make it easier for people to access it once it opens. City Council has approved spending to up to $3 million to connect the hotel to the public Skywalk system. In 2018, Council already approved a $2 million grant towards public infrastructure for this hotel. The extra $1 million will come from a tax increment financing grant. That means the money will be paid back using the hotel's property taxes over roughly 5 years. The money, however, is conditional on matching support from the province. Taking a look at the current traffic situation on McPhillip Street, not terribly busy along the stretch. Not a bad time to get out on your Monday morning commute. And meanwhile, if you have any traffic tips to share, text them to us at 10400. Turning now to entertainment news, the Canadian football community is mourning the loss of Saskatchewan Roughriders linebacker and team captain Jayden Dalkey. The 30-year-old died in a car crash on Saturday. The Alberta native was signed by the Saskatchewan Roughriders in 2022 and appeared in 68 career regular season games. In a post, the team says Dalkey was a relentless warrior on the field. His determination, toughness, and work ethic inspired his teammates, and he was the true definition of what it means to be a Saskatchewan Roughrider. The first ever World Cup halftime show was full of star power. Madonna, BTS, Shakira all took the stage for an epic performance. It was curated by Coldplay's Chris Martin, who also took the stage with the PS22 choir of elementary school students from Staten Island.
All right, young man, let's go. It's your big shot. Okay, now listen to me. Go out there, don't be nervous. Nobody's watching, all right? Make us proud.
Justin Bieber got a special pep talk before his appearance, getting hyped up by everyone's favorite soccer coach, Ted Lasso. The Biebs performed Everything, Hallelujah, with lyrics changed to be World Cup specific. Each headliner spent about 2 minutes performing in total. The show lasted nearly 30 minutes, which is double the time typically allowed under International Football Association board rules. Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey set sail this weekend, claiming a big win at the box office.
Ithaca's king is coming back.
No, he's not.
The star-studded take on the Greek epic tale debuted with $124.5 million US across North America, the best live-action debut of the year so far. Disney's live-action version of Moana slid to second with 19 million in ticket sales, while Minions and Monsters was in third place for its third weekend with $14.8 million. Your Monday primetime lineup kicks off at 7 with American Ninja Warrior. Then at 9, catch the quiz with balls. It's all right here tonight on CTV.
The CTV Live Eye is brought to you by Bath Fitter, your bath and shower experts for more than 40 years.
It's 19 degrees outside, mostly sunny right now, winds gusting west at 25 to 36 kilometers per hour. The pressure is falling and the humidity is sitting at 79%. So currently, yes, 19 degrees. Looking at the temperatures for our currents right now across the province, 19 degrees for Morden and Winkler, Dauphin at 19 degrees as well, and Brandon 18 degrees. Island Lake is at 19 degrees. I did a little check with Environment Canada. Lynn Lake at 15 degrees, at Thompson 14 degrees, and Churchill currently at 10 degrees. Now, as I mentioned earlier during the show, we do have a Skywatch weather alert for most parts in the north right now. According to Environment Canada, for some reason we're glitching a little bit technically, but for Thompson, Oxford House, as well as Norway House, there is a yellow warning for that risk of a thunderstorm, as well as an air quality warning for the same parts of that region due to wildfire smoke. But looking into today for Winnipeg, 20 degrees by the time it's 8 a.m. for us, and 25 degrees by the time lunchtime. But again, those winds will be gusting quite intensely, anything between 40 to 60 kilometers per hour. We do have that 60% chance of precipitation in the form of light rain or showers, so keep that in mind when traveling about. And 24 degrees by the time it's early evening, still with that risk of a thunderstorm, according to Environment Canada. And looking to the rest of the week, it's mostly sunshine on tap for us, so more summertime vibes on the go with mostly increasing temperatures. Now, looking at our beautiful pick of the day from Tanya, this beautiful flower, the daisy with the bumblebee buzzing through. Please keep those pictures coming at Winnipeg Weather at ctv.ca.
July 20th, 1858. In the first baseball game for which admission was charged, 1,500 people paid 50 cents each to see New York play Brooklyn. The game is considered a critical first step in the evolution of baseball from a recreational pastime to a professional sport. July 20th, 1885. The trial of Louis Riel, leader of the Métis and founder of Manitoba, began in Regina. Riel was charged with treason for his role in 2 Métis rebellions. He refused to plead insanity, as his lawyer suggested, and was convicted. He was hanged later that year. July 20th, 1969. Apollo 11 astronauts Neil Armstrong and Edwin Buzz Aldrin became the first men to set foot on the moon. Aldrin and Armstrong collected nearly 22 kilograms of lunar rock and soil before blasting off 21 hours, 36 minutes, and 21 seconds after they landed and rejoining crewmate Michael Collins orbiting above.
Spain is on top of the football universe after beating Argentina to take home the World Cup.
Pedro Porro, Williams, and somebody for Spain by Ferran Torres!
That was the magic moment that clinched the World Cup for Spain. Ferran Torres converts on the backhander to score the goal of his life in extra time. Despite the 1-0 final, the game wasn't that close. Spain dominated play for much of the game, and Argentina didn't register a shot until extra time. At the end, all the defending champs could do was watch Spain lift the World Cup trophy. Spain now has its second World Cup title. It's also the current holder of the Women's World Cup and Euro Championship. The loss also marks the end of Lionel Messi's international career. He was held scoreless in the final, which gave France's Kylian Mbappe his second Golden Boot. Argentina's loss also means no team has repeated a World Cup champ since Brazil in 1962. Cheering, bright lights, and joy, meanwhile, erupted in the streets of Madrid following that win. That was the magic moment. Thousands of people danced in the streets celebrating Spain's victory. Fireworks were set off as fans chanted and cheered, waving red and gold flags. Ferran Torres says his World Cup winning goal for Spain belonged to 47 million people, not just himself or the 26 players. Looking golden out there to kick off your Monday. 19 degrees, some light winds. Tandy will have details on how the week's shaping up weather-wise just ahead. Checking back in with CTV's Ainsley McPhail, who's learning all about Winnipeg's search and rescue.
Hi, good morning, Catherine. Good morning, Manitoba. Happy Monday. When it comes to Winnipeg Search and Rescue, they need volunteers. It's a 100% volunteer run. Madison's joining me now. You are one of them. Yes. Why did you want to take part?
Honestly, I'm a very avid outdoors person, and I've always wanted to, donate some of my time to something. When I was younger, I did a lot of volunteer work with my high school, with like Big Brothers, Big Sisters, Festival du Voyageur, all that kind of stuff. So I just thought, let's try something different. Mm-hmm.
And what does it actually look like to be on a search team, if I'm saying that correctly?
It is very rewarding, I will say that. You are a part of something big, how I look at it. It just feels very rewarding to be with other people who also feel the same passion that you do to try and help people. Mm-hmm.
And a sense of community. I'm sure you've met a lot of great people. What have you learned, either through that or just through the experience?
Yeah, I've learned a lot of outdoor skills. I'm definitely a lot more, a lot better equipped now to be outside, and if something happens, I can actually survive.
Well, we're talking like first aid and all that jazz too?
Yeah, I learned a lot of first aid, and doing this work made me realize how much I enjoy that. I've actually just gone to school to be a paramedic now, so that's now my career path, and I'm very excited for that, and I can thank this organization for giving me that insight to it.
And what a perfect merriment of skills. Before we're out of time, I want to talk about that rewarding aspect. How does it feel to know that you can reunite someone with their family?
It feels incredible, honestly. It is a feeling that I can't describe when I see, especially a family member who is terrified that their child or anybody has gone missing, and just that, look in their eyes and that smile and that brightened look that they get when you've reunited them.
Oh, it's a parent's worst nightmare. Why should somebody volunteer?
Honestly, if you want to get involved, it is, again, very rewarding. If you want to learn outdoor skills, be part of a community, and we're always looking for people. So if you are interested, give us a shout there.
Thank you so much. Head to a link on the website for more details.
Thanks for that, Ainsley. Incredible volunteers. Heading over to the green screen with Tandy Vera. Wow, Tandy, I'm done with these humid temperatures. this humidity, these humid temperatures.
Yes,
there
yeah.
we go. And I need some more coffee. But tell me, is there any break in sight for us here?
There is no break in sight. I guess the break could be that chance of light rain in the form of precipitation that could cool things down, but not much of a break in terms of that heat. 19 degrees right now and mainly sunny outside. Winds gusting west at 25 to 36 kilometers per hour. The pressure is falling and the humidity is sitting at 79%. Now, looking at our satellite images, you can see we do have this low pressure system that has been forming, came in from the west and tapered into parts of the province. Parts up in the north, they've been experiencing some thunderstorms in the late early mornings. Between 12 a.m. to 1 a.m. there were a few thunderstorms up in Norway House. So that's just something to keep in mind. They did have a severe thunderstorm watch, but that's been lifted recently. There's only just the risk of a thunderstorm. And that's the same for Winnipeg and most of Manitoba, just across the province for today. But we do have that heat on tap. 26 degrees will be our high for today. 26 is usually our normal seasonal average. So we're right on track. Winds gusting northwest at 40 to 60 kilometers per hour. So quite intense winds outside, just to keep in mind. I was up in the rooftop and everything was just blowing everywhere and everywhere away. And we also have that 60% chance of showers in the late afternoon, either in the form of light rain or those showers, or again, that risk of a thunderstorm in the later part of the afternoon. Kind of like what we had during the weekend time, that mixed bag of mostly sunshine, a bit of clouds, and that risk of rain. Now looking into the evening time, 14 degrees, still with that risk of a thunderstorm. Those winds will decrease, gusting north at 20 kilometers per hour. But again, partly cloudy skies for us on tap. And then tomorrow, 23 degrees, so 3 degrees shy of our seasonal, but still quite a warm one for tomorrow. Winds gusting north at 20 kilometers per hour and mostly sunshine on tap. And that's what we have for the rest of the week. Sunshine on tap, sunshine summer vibes, but again, that humidity will increase, so stay hydrated just in case.
Thanks, Tandy. 4 people are recovering in hospital after a serious crash in Winnipeg's North End. It happened Friday night near Main Street and Jarvis Avenue. Police say a BMW and a motorcycle were speeding side by side when a Ford Escape pulled into their path. The Ford clipped the BMW, sending it into a building. The motorcycle then hit the back of the Escape, throwing both riders off the bike. 3 people were rushed to hospital in unstable condition, 1 in critical condition. All 4 have since been stabilized, but the motorcycle driver's injuries could be life-altering. Police say speed was the main factor. The investigation is ongoing. Wildfires are disrupting vacation plans for many Canadians. Flames have come dangerously close to some cottages and cabins in Ontario. And here in Manitoba, it's floodwaters that are doing the damage.
The land fell into the river. It's very sandy, and it just started to eat away the first flood, and the second flood took a whole bunch more. So that area, it's half gone.
Water is causing chaos for some campgrounds in western Manitoba, still trying to recover from intensive flooding. Karen Geralek lost 14 of the 22 sites at her campground after it was hit by 2 major floods in 3 weeks. In parts of Ontario, wildfires are the primary threat. This was the scene earlier this week at Pasha Lake Cabins in northwestern Ontario. Owner Victoria Lafreniere has lived her whole life in the region and says she's never seen anything like this before. She says the situation has improved over the last couple of days, but says the uncertainty of what could happen is impacting her business.
We actually seen a very significant loss of revenue. I've had a lot of people cancel the rest of the season as well, just because of the worry of the air quality and not knowing what could happen.
As of today, almost 200 wildfires are burning across northern Ontario, with 57 said to be out of control, forcing the evacuation of thousands of residents. And U.S. President Donald Trump is now thinking about charging Canada for wildfire smoke that has drifted into the states.
I have a good relationship with Mark Carney, but, you know, we got to stop the fires up there. If we can help them, we'll help them. But maybe they should pay us some damages or something, or we should do some tariffs.
U.S. President Trump says Canadian wildfires have poisoned U.S. air and told reporters last night that something needs to be done. He's threatened to top up the import tariffs he's already levied on Canadian goods in response, and says he plans to speak with Prime Minister Mark Carney about the situation. Health officials say none of the lettuce connected to the ongoing stomach parasite outbreaks in the U.S. has been sold in Canada. The Canadian Food Inspection Agency says it's in contact with the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, and information is being reviewed. Officials say restrictions on fresh produce from the U.S. are not being considered. So far, an investigation by the FDA has identified a single supplier of lettuce that appears to be the cause of the outbreak, Taylor Farms, with some cases linked to Taco Bell locations. Keir Starmer has given his final address as UK Prime Minister before Andy Burnham takes over.
So, as I now pass the baton to Andy Burnham, I wish him every success. He has my full support.
This morning, Andy Burnham will become the 5th UK Prime Minister in the last 4 years. Starmer wrapped up his address with a message that he has left the country in a better state than he found it. Starmer and Burnham are visiting King Charles now in Buckingham Palace. Burnham is set to speak outside of 10 Downing soon. A group of skateboarders in La Paz, Bolivia are combining their own traditions with skateboard culture. They are hitting the skateboard park in traditional Aymara attire. Aymara people live in the high altitude regions of Bolivia and sure know how to get some air on their skateboards as well. They say hitting the skate park in traditional clothing is meant to be a tribute to their roots. Some road closures to remind you about this morning. On Osborne Street, one south or northbound lane will be closed from Pembina to Mulvey Avenue, and a temporary median crossover will happen. The eastbound curb and median lane on Grant Avenue will be closed from Haney to Shaftesbury Boulevard. And the eastbound curb lane on McDermott Avenue will be closed from Princess to King Street. If you have any traffic tips or updates to share, you can text them to us at 10400. Taking a look at your gas prices in Winnipeg, the average is $1.65. The lowest price in our city is $1.54. All this information is on GasBuddy.com.
The Price at the Pump is brought to you by the Kidney Foundation. Help by donating your card today.
Degrees right now, mostly sunny outside, winds gusting west at 25 to 36 kilometers per hour. The pressure is falling and the humidity is sitting at 79%. 19 degrees right now is a pretty warm start to the day. Looking at our satellite image, we can see a low pressure system that's been developing out in the west that's tapered into parts of the province, especially up north. Those icons, as you can see, they're experiencing thunderstorms in the early parts of the morning, and they still have that risk of a thunderstorm, as well as most of Winnipeg and, you know what, most of the province, according to Environment Canada. But again, that rain, if it does come, it will taper off into the east. Eastern Ontario is what they'll experience. But for us today, looking at the currents that we have currently, 14 degrees for Churchill, mostly sunny skies for them. Thompson at 22 degrees with that risk of thunderstorm and that light rain. Same with Island Lake and Gillam. And looking over here for Lynn Lake, mostly sunny today for them. Flin Flon, however, might experience that light precipitation in the form of showers or rain. But Norway House at 22 degrees. I do want to mention that they do have that risk of a thunderstorm according to Environment Canada, just not showing on the icon right now. Dauphin at 23 degrees with that risk of thunderstorm and light rain. Swan River, Brandon, all at the same with a high of 24 for Brandon today on tap. For us here in Winnipeg, we're going to have a high of about 26 degrees, so very warm day for us. Our seasonal average is also 26, so we're just right on the mark. 24 degrees for Portage la Prairie with that risk of a thunderstorm as well. Same with Steinbach, so most of southern Manitoba, we do have that risk of thunderstorms. So just keep that in mind. That's for the later part of the afternoon when moving about. But looking over into the east, Red Lake at 22 degrees and Kenora at 23. And when we look at our 7-day forecast for the rest of the week, it's sunshine on tap. Sunshine vibes with those high to mid temperatures of about 32 to 28 degrees. So again, very hot outside, so you want to stay hydrated, but also grab that raincoat today just in case.
CTV's Ainsley McPhail is live this morning with Winnipeg Search and Rescue, and you're going to be learning about some incredible technology that they have.
Yes, it's with Project Lifesaver. Craig and Doug are my guests. And tell us a little bit, Doug, about what Project Lifesaver is.
Project Lifesaver is a program that can help
locate vulnerable people that might have become lost, either adults, maybe they have Alzheimer's, or children that aren't aware that they're becoming lost. They wear a wrist bracelet that has a radio transmitter in it, so it transmits a signal every second. And so it can help us locate them very quickly if they become lost. It's a program that's, there is a cost to it, but it's very effective at locating someone that doesn't realize they're in trouble or lost.
Speaking of how effective it is, that requires this technology. Just looking at it, you go, wow, that looks pretty funky, but it's also straightforward. Craig?
Yes. Once you have a couple of these units out, you can get a couple of different signals, and you can determine the strength of the signal in a certain area or a certain direction. And then if you have 2 or 3 units, you can get either vectors or a triangulation, and you can get a very close range of where that person is missing in.
And this can happen rather quickly.
Yeah, we're very fast. We're able to quickly deploy with these. A couple of us have these in our units, and we will go over throughout the city within a certain area. You can have them set as an omnidirectional, so you can get within a certain range, and you can pick up the signal, and then you can get out, and you can use this as a directional thing to figure out exactly what direction they're in from you.
The level of overwhelm of having a family member who's disoriented or could find themselves in this situation. Why should someone take part?
Well, this can really protect someone that, a family member that is prone to wandering, but might not realize they're getting in trouble. So this is a way, a search can be very involved in that situation, possibly a lot of police resources, people like Winnipeg Search and Rescue, whereas a team of 3 or 4 can now locate that person very quickly, usually within 1 to 2 hours.
Thank you so much. More coming up at 8:06.
Thanks, Ainsley. It might be summer, but that doesn't mean school is out, at least for some kids in Saskatchewan. They're learning skills that will help them over a lifetime. But this course is only for girls. CTV's Allison Bamford reports.
Chipping away at a job that requires patience. 13-year-old Aaliyah White is scraping off excess glue before she can move on to the next step.
Some of it's like satisfying, some of it's just fun to do.
These young girls are building tables and learning the tricks of the trades as part of a week-long camp offered through Saskatchewan Polytechnic.
Well, I like that it's creative. You can build whatever you want.
Today's lesson is carpentry, after learning about welding and electrical work earlier in the camp.
We learned how to make like a circuit board. I didn't know anything about that at first, and then through the camp I learned how to do that.
For many of these girls, this is their first introduction to the skilled trades, and they are building much more than just these end tables that they get to take home.
It helps build confidence in them. These skills never go away. They're always going to be useful.
Men continue to dominate Canada's skilled trades field. The most recent stats show females make up just 12.5% of apprenticeship program registrations.
We're trying to help that number grow, and whether you pursue a trade or technology, or whether you're just a homeowner, a DIYer looking to advance some of your skills, these camps are a really great starting place for these girls.
And one day these campers might become fully certified.
I'm still deciding what career, but maybe.
I would like to get a job into the trades, but I would also like it as a hobby too.
And when the dust settles, these girls will walk away with lessons for life. Allison Bamford, CTV News, Saskatoon.
Let's see who's celebrating a milestone today. Happy 13th birthday, Emma, with much love from your mama and great-grandma. Happy 32nd birthday to Cassidy, love from your mom, Les, and all your family. Happy 46th birthday, Will, from your bar ladies. Happy 54th birthday, Albert, from your wife and furry friends. And happy birthday, Gemini, love your family. To submit your milestone, visit our website, ctvnewswinnipeg.ca, and fill out the form at least 2 days in advance.
Weather is brought to you by Garage Masters, your complete garage specialists.
Our high today is going to be 26 degrees with a low of 14. Our seasonal average is about 26 as well, so we're right on the mark, low at 13 degrees. Last year it was 23.3 degrees, so much chillier than it was last year. Sorry, much warmer today. It was chillier last year. And then our record of 34.3 in 1967, so quite intense heat. Right now it's 19 degrees, mostly sunny outside, winds gusting west at 25 to 36 kilometers per hour. The pressure is falling and the humidity is sitting at 79%. I'm starting to feel the warmth of the sun right now. That temperatures are going to be increasing with our high of 26, so quite a warm day today. But again, we still have that risk of thunderstorm and a 60% chance of light precipitation in the form of rain or showers, and that's just across the province. I will say we did have some yellow watch warnings earlier in the morning up in the north for this risk of thunderstorms, but they have been lifted for most areas. The only thing in effect right now, according to Environment Canada, is air quality warnings, and that's because of the wildfire smoke from the surrounding area as well as coming in from northeast Ontario. So that's just something to keep in mind. But for today, keep hydrated, keep warm. Mother Nature changes on us at any point, so I would grab that raincoat just in case. I didn't during the weekend time and unfortunately was rained on whilst feeling the heat. And it will also be very humid with that mix of rain and sunshine, so just keep that in mind when traveling about for your day.
Thanks, Tandy. There were concerns wildfire smoke from Canada would force authorities to cancel that final World Cup game. But the skies remained clear over New Jersey. But in northern Ontario, flames have claimed another remote community. CTV's Heather Wright reports from Thunder Bay, where new equipment is being rolled out that will give those fighting backcountry wildfires a better chance at gaining some ground.
New photos show another community in northern Ontario gone. This is Whitewater Lake First Nation, approximately 250 kilometers north of Thunder Bay. Most of the communities being threatened by raging wildfires are not accessible by road, and many of the more than 190 wildfires burning in Ontario are in remote areas.
The portability of it is what makes it one of the greatest assets.
Global Medic is delivering these fire skids to the north to help remote communities. It essentially turns any pickup truck into a fire truck.
These are quite useful for volunteer and rural fire departments that don't have access, number one, to complicated equipment, big fire trucks, also to get into rough terrain, backcountry places.
These fire skids are being loaded into airplanes and delivered to those communities.
It's so versatile, and it doesn't require a huge forklift to lift it onto an apparatus to make it functional. So that's, again, what makes it so adaptable to these remote environments or hard to reach places.
10 communities in northwestern Ontario have already been evacuated, with many more being told to prepare to leave should things get worse. Today, Prime Minister Mark Carney said in a statement, in response to the devastating fires, Canada is taking an all-hands-on-deck approach. More than 5,300 firefighting personnel have been deployed across the country. Nearly 300 aircraft are in the field, from water bombers and helicopters to evacuation aircraft. But with nearly 1,000 fires burning across the country, resources are being stretched. And experts say so many of the fires burning are simply impossible to fight.
And these are high-intensity fires, and you cannot put people in front of them because it's too dangerous. So basically, you have to get out of the way, evacuate, and wait for the weather to change or the fuels to change.
There is favorable weather in the forecast, but officials here say it will take several days of rain to make a significant impact in getting these fires under control. Heather Wright, CTV News, Thunder Bay, Ontario.
Facing climbing costs, more Canadians are turning to thrifting to save some money. Business is booming at some second-hand stores that offer used goods for much less than retail stores. CTV's Kathy Lee with the other reason resale is on the rise.
Cool too. For this young couple, thrift shopping isn't just about the thrill of the hunt.
I'm hoping to find maybe a new shirt or some jean shorts.
It's also a way to stretch their budget.
Jeans are super expensive. I have a pair in my bag that I just got for like $15, and they would have sold for like way more.
And in another section of World Serve thrift store, Pete DeYoung is also looking for a bargain.
I did find a ZZ Top shirt that's actually double extra chubby, so it would fit me, and it's only $4.
Like them, many Canadians are turning to thrift stores to save money. A spring survey from Habitat for Humanity Restore found 3 in 5 Canadians plan to thrift this year, driven in part by the cost of living. Months later, Sarah Peters, manager of World Serve thrift store, says she's seeing that growing interest.
We've definitely seen a huge increase, I would say, from March.
Business has become so busy here that in the last year, this thrift store has extended its hours to accommodate the growing demand.
The numbers are definitely increasing due to affordability of everything.
But saving money is only part of the story. Thrifting has become part of the culture for many shoppers.
Over the last 10 years has been sort of, the stigma around thrifting has gone away, especially for young people. It's a bit of a badge of honor now.
What is this?
For them, buying secondhand is also about giving clothes a second life.
For the environment is also a big thing for me.
And it's their way of reducing waste.
We want to stop, throwing out so much clothing.
One thrift store find at a time. Kathy Lee, CTV News, Calgary.
Hello, everyone. Jermaine Franklin in the Sports Center newsroom with your must-see moment from Sunday. For that, we head to Royal Birkdale, where Ryan Fox etched his name into the history books at the Open Championship. Fox drains the 11-footer for birdie on 18 to win the Open by 1 stroke. He birdied 4 of his last 6 holes en route to his first career major victory. And tonight on TSN, the Toronto Tempo hosts Asia Wilson and the defending champion Las Vegas Aces in the first ever meeting between the two franchises. Pre-game coverage begins at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, 4:30 Pacific. That's it from the Sports Center newsroom. Have a great day.
The TSN must-see moment is brought to you by Super Blinds and Draperies, featuring Hunter Douglas products.
It's Monday, July 20th. How much could your benefits rise as the federal government increases the monthly tax-free payment to help with the cost of raising children? Wildfires threaten more northern Ontario communities, where evacuees from First Nation communities may be headed now that Thunder Bay's accommodations are stretched to the limit. And this attention-grabbing happy dance is freshly inspired by a seasonal burst of color and flavor at a local market. Your Morning Winnipeg starts right now. Welcome back, 8 a.m. on your Monday morning. Thanks for being with us here on Your Morning Winnipeg. We've got so much more still to come on this show, including a really neat music festival. If you've never checked it out before, it's called the Fire and Water Festival. You music festival gal, Tandy?
I love a good music festival.
Me too, and especially with how beautiful it's been. This one is a celebration of independent Manitoba music, and we're going to be getting details on all they've got planned this year at beautiful Lac du Bonny. And yeah, fun for the whole family. So we're going to get a complete rundown of that fun event coming up a little later on this hour. Speaking of, Tandy, when you're stepping outside for a music festival, Mother Nature, she's really turning up the heat. Drink a lot of water.
Yes, yes, drink lots of water, stay hydrated. It's going to be a warm week with highs of 30 degrees in some instances and 28. Right now it's currently 19 degrees, mostly sunny outside, winds gusting west at 25 to 36 kilometers per hour. The pressure is falling and the humidity is sitting at 79%. So yes, lots of heat on tap for us today. It's going to be 26 degrees is going to be our high. But I do want to mention, looking at our satellite image, we do have this low pressure system that's been forming out in the west that's likely to taper off into parts of Manitoba. In fact, earlier in the morning we did have a severe thunderstorm watch warning, yellow watch warning, I need my coffee right now, for most of northern Manitoba. So it's been lifted currently, but they still have some air quality warnings due to that smoke from the wildfires. But looking into it right now, as I mentioned, we have a risk of thunderstorm for Winnipeg and most of southern Manitoba, including a 60% chance of precipitation in the form of light rain or some light showers. So you just want to keep that in mind when traveling about. But it will taper off into eastern Ontario by tomorrow morning, according to Environment Canada. But for today, maybe you could just grab that raincoat just in case you might just feel a tiny bit of a downpour. And because of that heat as well as that mix with the rain, it might feel very humid out today as well. But it's going to clear off by Wednesday, because looking at our 7-day forecast, we mostly have sunshine on tap. Sunshine, summer days. So if you're looking to go out for a music festival, this is the perfect week to do so. It's going to be a beautiful day to go out. But remember, stay hydrated. Now, looking at our beautiful weather art of the day, Tasneem, this is gorgeous. It's giving me summertime vibes with the little birds and the sunshine just at the lake. Keep those pictures coming, please. To submit your child's weather art of the day, visit our website, ctvnewswinnipeg.ca, and fill out the form. Your art can be shown on Your Morning Winnipeg, and we'll also enter you into our monthly contest for a chance to win a $100 gift card from Crockadoodle on Keniston and Regent locations.
The weather art of the day is brought to you by Crockadoodle Paint Your Own Pottery, now open on Regent and Keniston.
Thanks, Tandy. The search continues today for 2 boys swept into rapids at Nudimick Lake in the Whiteshell. RCMP say the boys, ages 10 and 13, have been missing since Saturday. Lactabani RCMP say they received a report of a possible drowning near Sturgeon Falls Trail just after 12:30 p.m. on Saturday. Officers, along with local fire crews and EMS, responded immediately and found the 2 boys, who are related, had been swept into the rapids at Sturgeon Falls. An RCMP spokesperson says one boy slipped on the rocks and fell into the water. And as of Sunday afternoon, they believe the older boy went into the water to help the younger one. The RCMP's underwater recovery team and the Hatarian Emergency Aquatic Response Team have both been deployed to help. As of Sunday afternoon, patrols of the water and shoreline, aided by drones, have not found either boy. RCMP say the search will continue until both boys are found. Manitoba families may see a change in their Canada Child Benefit payments starting today. The federal government is increasing the monthly tax-free payment to help with the cost of raising children. Families can now receive up to $8,100 per child under 6 and up to just $6,900 per child age 6 to 17. That's a bump of $160 and $135 respectively. Nearly 153,000 Manitoba families benefit from the payments. Ottawa recalculates benefit payments every January based on tax information from the previous year. Canada Child Benefits are set up to arrive for this month on Monday. Winnipeg police say a man is facing charges after allegedly stealing his neighbor's cat and then demanding money for its return. Police say a 44-year-old woman reported her cat missing last Tuesday from her home in the 200 block of Manitoba Avenue. She told officers she suspected the 72-year-old man living next door was behind it. Investigators say that suspicion was confirmed when the neighbor told the woman he had the cat and delivered a letter demanding cash in exchange for bringing it back. 2 days later, police went to the home next door and found the cat inside unmarked. The cat is now back home, and police say the man has been charged with extortion and theft. There are more than 940 active wildfires burning across the country, and the situation in northern Ontario remains dire. New photos show fire has destroyed the community of Whitewater Lake First Nation. 10 communities have already been evacuated, and others are being told to be ready to go at any time. Evacuation flights will start taking people to Toronto because Thunder Bay has run out of space to host people fleeing the fires. Ontario Premier Doug Ford was in Thunder Bay over the weekend.
We're doing absolutely every resource we can possibly throw at this, including bringing people in from Alberta, firefighters and water bombers from the Yukon.
Some people who had to leave their homes for safety say the response from Ontario and Ottawa has been too slow. Prime Minister Mark Carney says in a statement, quote, Canada is taking an all-hands-on-deck approach. He adds more than 5,300 firefighting personnel have been deployed across the country. Recent rain, meanwhile, has helped to slow the growth of some fires in Ontario, but officials say much more is needed. Prince Edward Island is ready to welcome the country's top leaders. The 2026 summer meeting of Canada's premiers is happening in Charlottetown. It kicks off tomorrow and runs until Thursday. PEI's Premier Rob Lance will be hosting the meeting. All 13 provincial and territorial premiers will be in attendance, and at the top of the agenda will be health, affordability, national security, and Canada-U.S. relations. A promotional video from a local market is grabbing people's attention. The video has received more than 4,100 likes since St. Leo Gardens Market posted it to its Instagram account last week. It was created by a local marketing agency to highlight St. Leo's strawberries. The videos features former employee Mikhail Beaudry dancing through the market. The company and Beaudry aren't exactly sure why people like it so much, but they do have their theories. Taking a look at the current traffic situation around Osborne Street, moving at a good clip. Not too many cars out there. Maybe everyone's taken a long weekend. Meanwhile, if you have any traffic tips to share, you can always text us at 10400.
Traffic is brought to you by Curtis Carpets, Manitoba's flooring experts.
CTV's Ainsley McPhail has been spending the morning with Winnipeg Search and Rescue. Ainsley, incredible work they do down there.
And tons of volunteers, one of which is a little hairier than most. This here is Murphy. Laura Fanning is Murphy's owner. And Laura, tell us about what it takes to be the ideal search and rescue dog.
Well, it takes a specific temperament. You need a dog that is friendly and energetic and enthusiastic, but also has a lot of drive to work long hours and stay motivated. So that's not always easy to find in a dog. So Murphy's got both of those skills and very trainable too.
And there's tons of training involved. So what does that look like?
Well, it's a long process. It takes a couple of years to get a dog up to certification level, and then even after they are certified, they are required to be verified every single year. So you have to keep your skills up. You basically start with obedience, socialization, like a pet dog. So we do a lot of visits to Home Depot, and took an acting class to get him desensitized.
No way.
Yes, that was a lot of fun. Very busy, so that was really good for developing his skills to kind of shut off the environment. And then the skills-based training. So we do a lot of tracking training. We do searching for people in the bush. There's an obedience component, and all three of those things have a testing component as well annually.
Wow. And you're a volunteer too. We don't want to forget about you.
I am. And that's actually a requirement too. So as a search and rescue canine handler, you have to actually have your own training for a couple of years in advance before you can apply to be a canine handler with search and rescue. So it's really nice to kind of have the skills yourself and understand how search and rescue really works, and then be able to add the canine training component to it. Yeah.
Why should others?
Well, for me personally, it's very rewarding. I love working with my dog. I love the sense of purpose and contribution to community, and Murphy loves the work. So, yeah, it brings two of my passions together.
Oh, and Murphy's eyeing up a squirrel or a deer that's in this parking lot. Oh.
Pretty adorable. All right, thanks for that, Ainsley. Give that guy a good pet for me. Do you have a glorious garden? Well, here at Your Morning Winnipeg, we love to see how you are passionate about your yard work. It could be an annual, perennial, or vegetable. Tell us about your garden and enter the contest to win a $500 gift card from St. Mary's Nursery and Garden Center. Plus, you have the chance to show off your garden live on Your Morning Winnipeg with a visit from Ainsley McPhail. To enter, head to the contest page on our website, ctvwinnipeg.ca. Fill out the form with your answer and photos. Good luck.
The CTV Live Eye is brought to you by Bath Fitter, your bath and shower experts for more than 40 years.
It's 21 degrees right now with a humidex of 25. Just to keep that in mind, mostly cloudy outside, winds gusting west at 29 to 45 kilometers per hour. The pressure is falling and the humidity is sitting at 76%. So yes, 21 degrees right now. It's looking a little gray outside. We were experiencing that sunshine in the morning. Environment Canada did warn that cloud coverage would increase throughout the morning into the afternoon. So we're going to have that mix of sun, cloud, and maybe a risk of rain for us for most of southern Manitoba as well as northern Manitoba, who had that risk of a thunderstorm warning. Currently, the temperatures, though, 21 for Winnipeg, Brandon at 19 degrees, Dauphin at 20 degrees, Swan River at 20 degrees as well. Island Lake did check. It's at 19 degrees currently. Thompson at 14 degrees, with Churchill at 10 degrees, and Lynn Lake at 16 degrees. Now, as I mentioned earlier, we've been having this low pressure system that's been forming out from the west and been tapering into parts of the province, and some people experienced some thunderstorms last night, especially in the north. Norway House, to be particular, at about 1 a.m. And 12 a.m. they were experiencing quite severe thunderstorms, and that risk was there this morning as well, but it's been lifted according to Environment Canada, though there is that 60% chance of light precipitation in the form of rain or showers, so keep that in mind when going about. But for today, when it's by 8 a.m., which is right now, it's 20 degrees, but it's actually 21 degrees right now, so 1 degree above that. 25 and 24 by the afternoon, with those winds gusting northwest at 40 to 60 kilometers per hour. So keep that in mind. It's going to be quite windy. We're taking a break right now, but we'll be back with more CTV Your Morning Winnipeg.
Brookfield Asset Management and CPP Investments are buying LXP Industrial Trust in an all-cash deal valued at $5.2 billion, $61.20 a share in cash. LXP shares were up 4.1% in pre-market trading. The deal includes net debt and preferred equity in the transaction. The deal, approved unanimously by the LXP board, is expected to close in the fourth quarter. Ford and its Canadian union have ratified a contract that will mean wage increases and bonuses for thousands of workers, with the automaker committing to an investment in southwestern Ontario's engine plant. The collective agreement includes a new $700 million Canadian investment at its Essex engine plant in Windsor. Ford says the new money will maximize the 5-liter engine production and support the manufacturing of even larger engines. Many of those parts are shipped to Ford's U.S. assembly plants. Brent crude above 90 a barrel as the U.S. launches fresh strikes after American troops were killed in an Iranian attack in Jordan over the weekend. This, according to Commerce Bank in a note. U.S. equity futures, though, steadied in response to the strikes. Iran, meanwhile, has targeted Kuwait and other U.S. military facilities in Qatar and announced it was suspending its commitments under the interim peace agreement, as well as warning of further retaliation. Those are your morning business headlines. For BNN Bloomberg, I'm Roger Peterson.
Manitoba's short but oh so sweet summers have many getting out on the water and enjoying our incredible lakes and rivers. But we know summer fun can quickly turn to anything but if we're not taking the proper precautions. Joining me now to share more about what we need to know to protect ourselves and others on the water, I'm joined by Christopher Hanlon, a boating safety officer with Transport Canada. Hello, good morning. Thanks so much for being with us.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So you're joining us on National Drowning Prevention Day. We know 12 million roughly Canadian adults are going to participate in recreational boating every year, but this can come with a lot of danger when we're spending time out there on the water.
Yeah, absolutely. And our focus is really making sure Canadians get out there and enjoy themselves, but they do it in a way that's safe.
Okay, so let's start off by talking about life jackets. That's kind of the first thing we think of. What should we know? What are the regulations?
Sure. So everybody on board a boat in Canada is required to have a life jacket or PFD on board for them as well. That should be in good working condition. It should fit them. So you can't have a little kid with a big extra large adult life jacket. And it should be Transport Canada approved. So if you look inside of it, there should be somewhere where it says approved for use by Transport Canada.
And besides the life jackets, is there any other kind of safety equipment we should have on board?
Sure, and it really depends on what type of boat you're using. There's different safety requirements based on that. It can be anything from a stand-up paddleboard up to a big yacht, and you're going to have a lot of difference in what you need on board.
So an example of this, maybe we need certain safety equipment. Is there like any sort of life rings or anything like that?
Yeah, and again, it's hard to name specific things because it does vary depending on the boat you're on.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
So with these hot temperatures, I imagine it's pretty easy to forget that our water can still be pretty cold depending on where you're at. So this can also present some dangers.
Absolutely. All water in Canada is considered cold water, even in the summertime. It's generally, we don't get as warm as the Caribbean. So you do want to be prepared to fall in and be prepared to be cold when that happens and aware of the risks of hypothermia.
So this should obviously go without saying, but we need to be boating sober just as we would think of when we're driving a vehicle, because it presents a number of dangers.
Absolutely. People need to treat their boat like they treat their car. You wouldn't operate your car inebriated, and you shouldn't operate your boat. It's a big piece of heavy equipment, and there's a lot of risks from being intoxicated while you're operating it.
And before you even get behind the wheel or head out there, there are a couple things you want to do before you go out onto the water. So an example of that is a boating safety course.
Absolutely. Everybody operating a motorized vessel in Canada is required to take the boating safety course and get the pleasure craft operator card. So if your boat has a motor, you are required to have that course.
Good to know. Okay, really quick, what are some other precautions we can take as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So everybody should consider having a safety checklist on their boat before departure. That'll include running through all your safety equipment, making sure it's in good working order, making sure everybody on board knows where it's located, making sure nothing's expired, making sure somebody knows where you're going and when you plan to be back so that they can be aware if something goes wrong.
All good, important tips. All right, well, we will leave it there. Christopher, thanks so much for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
It's 21 degrees currently. It's a bit windy outside, very windy. The clouds are covering the sun right now, lots of cloud coverage, but that is expected. According to Environment Canada, the cloud coverage will increase throughout the morning into the late afternoon. So we're going to have that mixed bag. 21 degrees, as I said, right now, with a humidex of 25 degrees. So it's making it feel much, much warmer than it is outside right now. Winds gusting west at 29 to 45 kilometers per hour. The pressure is falling and the humidity is sitting at 76%. So yes, quite a warm start to the day. I've been out here for 5 minutes and I'm already feeling that warmth despite the cloud coverage. But those winds as well, they will increase throughout the morning to the afternoon for the greater part of Manitoba. Wind speeds, if anything, between 40 to 60 kilometers per hour, with some areas reaching even higher wind speeds, according to Environment Canada, with that risk of a thunderstorm in the late afternoon. And that's just across the province due to that low pressure system coming in from the west. So as I always say, a good reminder is just to grab a raincoat umbrella just in case, because Mother Nature can switch up at any moment. But when you're walking about, you will feel that wind. Thank God the wind does make it feel cooler, but again, might make it hard to travel from about as my hair is going everywhere. So just keep that in mind. And looking at our beautiful pic of the day from Tanya, this beautiful daisy with the bumblebee there. Please keep the pictures coming at Winnipeg Weather at ctv.ca.
Weather is brought to you by Mr. Lube Plus Tires, proudly keeping Canadians rolling for 50 years.
There's new concern for the health and well-being of honeybees in this country. Most famous for their sweet nectar, their biggest job is actually helping grow the food we eat. CTV's Alex Karpa has more on the research looking to protect them and strengthen Canadian agriculture.
Healthy honeybee colonies are essential for pollinating crops, supporting food production, and keeping Canada's agricultural industry strong.
We can see eggs, worker bees, drones.
Dr. Nuria Morfin carefully inspects honeybee colonies, work she's been doing for years to better understand the insects that play a vital role in Canada's food supply, contributing an estimated $7 billion annually to the economy.
Honeybees are an essential part of our agricultural systems.
What I'm holding here is a frame. It contains hundreds of bees, and it's just one of multiple frames that make up a hive, which can hold between 20,000 to 80,000 bees. But climate change, diseases, and some parasites are threatening the existence of these honeybees. One of the biggest threats to the bees is the Varroa destructor mite, which weakens their immune systems. Morfin studies how mites and other stressors contribute contribute to disease, aiming to better protect bee colonies.
We want to be prepared, understand more, and provide more tools to the beekeeping industry.
The research will also examine how rising temperatures, changing humidity levels, and stresses like wildfire smoke make it harder for bees to fight disease.
So it's really important to understand all these different factors that impact them so that we can support humanity and our demand for lots of agriculture into the future.
The challenges facing honeybees are already affecting beekeepers across the province.
Last year we lost almost half our bees, and the bees that did come through were weaker. It's a lot of work and a lot of cost and stress too for my son and myself.
We want to propose solutions to the beekeeping industry so they can have more productive and healthier bees.
Hoping her research will provide much needed support for the beekeeping industry in the years ahead. Alex Scarpa, CTV News, Winnipeg.
Sailing crews from across Canada and the U.S. were in Charlottetown with 2 national titles on the line. For some, it was also a chance to qualify for the World Championships. CTV's Maria Sauro went out for a closer look at the competition.
The fleet moves fast and the margins are small. But before the competition hit the water, crews spent the morning getting their boats and their nerves ready.
We want to win.
Kelly Hansen from Ontario hauled his J70 to PEI and along with 3 American teammates is chasing a Canadian championship in hopes of qualifying for the 2027 Worlds.
It's very, very close. You can hit a finish line around 4 boats and be either first or fourth, like within inches.
Across the dock, Islander Stephen Leclerc rigged a different kind of boat. He runs the bow on a J29 and has raced with the same crew for nearly 3 decades.
The competition really has gotten stronger over the years, and so now firsts are hard-earned victories.
The sailors come from all walks of life, says Charlottetown Race Week Chair Jim Thompson.
A lot of these people are ordinary folks. They're carpenters, they're house inspectors, they're electricians, engineers, and they just love getting on the boats and racing with this high-tech gear.
And for many, winning is far from the only reward.
We come to these cool places you can see out here. It's really cool.
I love getting out there on the water, and it's a great time with great people.
Maria Saru, CTV News, Charlottetown.
Taking a check-in on traffic on the St. James Bridge, moving along at a good clip, but definitely getting busier. We're going to move into a break, but stay with us. So much more CTV Your Morning Winnipeg on the other side.
Degrees right now, mostly cloudy outside, but that sun is still peeking through. Winds gusting west at 29 to 45 kilometers per hour. The pressure is falling and the humidity is sitting at 76%. So yes, it looks a little gray outside. That's to be expected. According to Environment Canada, we'll have this cloud coverage increasing throughout the morning into the late afternoon. So we're going to have that mixed bag of sunshine and a few clouds covering the sky. Now looking into our satellite image, as you can see, we have a low pressure system that has been forming throughout the morning out from the west that's tapered into parts of the province. Parts of the province even experienced some thunderstorms in the north in the late evening time yesterday as well as at 1 a.m. today. So that's just something to keep in mind. We do have that risk for us here in Winnipeg and most of southern Manitoba. 26 degrees is our high today, though we do have a humidex of 32 degrees. So it's going to feel like 32, but it's going to be 26. Winds gusting northwest at 40 to 60 kilometers per hour. So quite intense winds with those partly cloudy skies, and that's 60% chance of showers as well as a risk of thunderstorms in the late part of the afternoon, according to Environment Canada. But by the time we get into the evening, it's going to be 14 degrees. We still have that risk of a thunderstorm overnight and that chance of light precipitation in the form of rain or showers. So there's just something to keep in mind when traveling about. Those winds will decrease, gusting at 20 kilometers per hour north. And tomorrow our high is going to be 23 degrees and mostly sunshine on tap. And that's what it's going to be like for the rest of the week. Sunshine vibes, sunshine time. Great time to go outdoors and maybe go see a great music festival. You never know.
Thanks, Tandy. 4 people are facing charges after a man was attacked and left in a wooded area. RCMP say a 19-year-old man was getting ready to leave the RM of Killarney Turtle Mountain area when he was attacked by several men. Police say he was wrapped in a blanket and had his ankles and hands duct taped. Then the suspects began hitting him with a stick, put him on an off-road vehicle, and left the 19-year-old bound in a wooded area. The man was able to free himself and make it home. 4 suspects ranging in age from 16 to 31 are facing charges, including forcible confinement and robbery. The first Royal Canadian Legions turned 100 years old this past weekend, and several were founded first here in Winnipeg. Amid the challenges posed by dwindling membership numbers, some Legion branches are finding a way to chart a path forward.
Delegates met from across Canada at the Marlborough Hotel, and on this date in 1926 they signed a proclamation creating the British Empire League, the forerunner of our modern Royal Canadian Legion.
And following the Second World War, there were over 1,000 branches of the Royal Canadian Legion across Canada. But these days, the Legions look a little different inside. Many of those who had served have passed on, leaving branches little option but to close or merge with existing ones. Now, there are 125 existing branches left in the region. Manitoba, Northwestern Ontario region Legions are offering free memberships this year for the anniversary in an effort to get more young members to join. Weekly meat draws and Chase the Ace events are also held to bring in the regulars.
It's a gathering place for a community. It's somewhere where you can sit down at a big table and sort of just get enveloped in the conversation and what's going on.
While the future of more branches across the country may be in doubt for the next century, Legion spokesperson Cohen Rutledge hopes the next generation will embrace the camaraderie in a place that is open to all. This World Cup was hosted by Canada, the U.S., and Mexico at a time of noticeable tension between the North American neighbors. The leaders of all 3 countries attended together despite those pressures. CTV's Jeremy Sharon with the politics at play.
Argentina, the reigning champions.
On the pitch, the stakes were clear.
The day a planet stops for a game.
The title of world champion up for grabs.
Argentina's approach to this final has been, by comparison with Spain's roller coaster.
But in the stands in New Jersey today, there were politics at play too. The leaders of all 3 host nations watching on together. Prime Minister Mark Carney and Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum joining U.S. President Donald Trump for the big game.
This is important for Mark Carney. It may not be a formal meeting. It may not have a formal agenda. The stakes may not be high, but the opportunity is present.
A casual setting at the world's biggest sporting event, valuable face-to-face time between leaders. Here, Carney and Trump seen speaking ahead of kickoff.
No, I wouldn't be looking for Mark Carney to walk away with the golden boot. This isn't about securing some kind of major victory, but it is an opportunity to put things back on the pitch.
The 3 leaders whose countries collectively hosted the tournament together now at a time of tension. Trump has forced Carney to concede revenues to open the Gordie Howe Bridge and threatened tariffs over Canadian wildfire smoke reaching the U.S. The president offering this remark as the World Cup comes to an end.
You should choose the United States of America again. This time we'll leave Mexico and Canada out.
That, as Trump chose earlier this month not to extend the North American Free Trade Pact that both Canada and Mexico wanted to, pushing the 3 countries into yearly reviews of the Canada-U.S.-Mexico agreement for the next 10 years. Mexico has held its own bilateral negotiations with the U.S., but insists it won't leave Canada behind.
The USMCA is a trilateral agreement. And of course, I think the 3 countries agree that that architecture should continue.
Mexican and U.S. officials are set to host a 3rd round of official trade talks next week, while Canada has yet to make any formal inroads on trade negotiations.
Taking a look at the current traffic situation along the Norwood Bridge, moving along at a good clip, but traffic volumes definitely increasing. Meanwhile, we're going to take a look at your gas prices. In Winnipeg, the average is $1.65. The lowest price in the city is $1.54. All this information is on GasBuddy.com.
The Price at the Pump is brought to you by the Kidney Foundation. Help by donating your card today.
Time now for your answers to our question of the day. We wanted to know from you, in honor of National Chess Day, which board game are you best at? Sandy shared, my favorite is Rummy Cube. Close runner-up would be Crib. I'm a Crib gal too. Marlene is good at categories and trivia games. And backgammon for Kelly. And Trivial Pursuit for Susan. All right, thanks everyone for your responses.
Question of the day, brought to you by Provivo, Manitoba's #1 cool sculpting clinic. Science-backed body contouring.
Checking in one last time with Ainsley McPhail, who's spending the morning at Winnipeg Search and Rescue. Ainsley.
It's been so interesting to get a behind-the-scenes look at Winnipeg Search and Rescue. Craig is joining me once again, and in this segment, we're learning about the training, the extensive training that goes into this. Let's start with Ruth, because that's quite the prop.
Yes, Ruth is our training mannequin. She stands in for a search subject when we are out in the bush sometimes. So she is a weighted mannequin, weighted fairly realistically, so she is heavy and provides a realistic example of what it's like to carry someone through the bush. And then this is our bumblebee. It's a nice wheeled gurney that we can take the basket on or off. We can take this into the bush, put our search subject onto it for evacuating them out of the bush, either to an ambulance or to a safe location.
And we don't have time in this quick segment to get through the X's and O's of that, so let's carry on. There's a vest. You want people to know you're there.
Yes, all of our members are in uniform. We'll be wearing these yellow shirts, black pants, and we have these vests, which we use to carry all of our gear. And some of the gear that we carry with us all the time is usually a radio to keep in contact with our command post. And we extensively use GPSs and compasses as well when we're out in the bush for navigation. We use flagging tape to mark where we've been sometimes at the end of a search line. And we don't always carry extensive first aid kits with us, but we have this first aid kit at the command post, and we'll always have a little bit of first aid kits with us when we're out in the bush as well. So we offer 2 training nights per month, and we ask that our members attend at least once if they can. And we train on a variety of things. We really stress navigation, communication, search awareness, search types, also clue awareness. So looking at something on the ground, has that been there for a long time, or is it something that our search subject might have dropped recently? Yeah, that's we really try to encourage as much training as possible to develop our skills and keep those skills fresh.
And you also can learn by doing. What is something that has stood out to you?
Oh, so many things. I mean, practical experiences in the bush is great. Also just helping out, volunteering whenever you can for an actual search. That gives you a lot of great experiences.
Thank you so much. We've been live with Winnipeg Search and Rescue. They're looking for volunteers too, so if you think that could be you, head to the link on the website.
All right, really interesting stuff. Thanks so much for this morning, Ainsley. Up on the rooftop, looking a little less breezy right now, Tandy. That's a plus.
It is a plus, but it's only for a brief moment. It was breezy right before you threw to me with Ainsley, but yes, the breeze has increased, as you can see right now. Those winds are going to increase throughout the morning. It's 21 degrees currently with a humidex of 25 degrees, so it feels quite warm for this time right now. Winds gusting west at 29 to 45 kilometers per hour. The pressure is falling and the humidity is sitting at 76%. So mostly cloudy right now, to be expected. Environment Canada did say that cloud coverage would increase throughout the morning. The sun is beginning to peek through, and that's kind of what we have on tap today across the province. That mix of sunshine and some cloud coverage with that risk of a thunderstorm in the late afternoon. I do want to make a note that in Thompson, they do have an air quality warning right now due to the wildfire smoke in the area, and as well as from northeast Ontario. And that's just across the northern Manitoba. So they're experiencing that right now, so that's just something to keep in mind. But again, all of us have that 60% chance of light precipitation in the form of showers or maybe even the form of rain. So it might be that mixed bag like what we had on the weekend, where it was so hot on Saturday and Sunday during the day, and then by the evening time we experienced those showers. And grab that raincoat just in case, because I wish I did on Saturday evening. We're taking a break right now, but we'll be back with more CTV Your Morning Winnipeg.
Weather is brought to you by the Better Business Bureau. Research at bbb.org before you buy.
Have a news tip, When you see news happening, let CTV News Winnipeg know. Text your tips, pictures, and videos to 10400. That's 10400. Message and data rates may apply.
It might be summer, but that doesn't mean school is out, at least for some kids in Saskatchewan. They're learning skills that will help them over a lifetime. But this course is only for the girls. CTV's Allison Bamford reports.
Chipping away at a job that requires patience. 13-year-old Aaliyah White is scraping off excess glue before she can move on to the next step.
Some of it's like satisfying, some of it's just fun to do.
These young girls are building tables and learning the tricks of the trades as part of a week-long camp offered through Saskatchewan Polytechnic.
Well, I like that it's creative. You can build whatever you want.
Today's lesson is carpentry after learning about welding and electrical work earlier in the camp.
We learned how to make like a circuit board. I didn't know anything about that at first, and then through the camp I learned how to do that.
For many of these girls, this is their first introduction to the skilled trades, and they are building much more than just these end tables that they get to take home.
It helps build confidence in them. These skills never go away. They're always going to be useful.
Men continue to dominate Canada's skilled trades field. The most recent stats show females make up just 12.5% of apprenticeship program registrations.
We're trying to help that number grow, and whether you pursue a trade or technology, or whether you're just a homeowner, a DIYer looking to advance some of your skills, these camps are a really great starting place for these girls.
And one day these campers might become fully certified.
I'm still deciding what career, but maybe.
I would like to get a job into the trades, but I would also like it as a hobby too.
And when the dust settles, these girls will walk away with lessons for life. Allison Bamford, CTV News, Saskatoon.
A celebration of independent Manitoba music is taking over Lac du Bonny for the Fire and Water Music Festival. It's billed as a chance for music lovers to listen and share music, stories, and friendships. Joining me now to share more about this is Noreen Hardy, president of the Fire and Water Music Festival. Noreen, good morning. Thanks so much for being with us.
Good morning.
This seems like a really fun event, and it's the 20th anniversary. So for those who've never been, tell us what it's all about.
So the Fire and Water Music Festival is a showcase of Manitoba music independent musicians, but also much more. We're a very family-friendly event. We have a kids zone. There's activities for the kids, crafts, a clown, face painting. We have an opportunity. We're a small festival, so we have a real opportunity for you to interact with lots of people as well as the musicians. It's not uncommon for the musicians to come off stage and come sit in the crowd. So it's a very great time, and it also is on the banks of the beautiful Winnipeg River in Lac du Bonny. So you have a beautiful environment to be there to listen to some fabulous music. Also some workshops. If you're interested, we have a harmony singing workshop with Cara Luft this year, and that's going to be hosted in our Lac du Bonny Community Garden, which is a really magical place.
It sounds like a very picturesque, beautiful festival. Something on your lineup specifically, though, caught my eye, which was a tribute to Lilith Fair. You're speaking my language there.
Yeah, so that's on Friday night, and we're celebrating female artists, and it's a tribute to Lilith Fair with Sheena Ratai from Red Moon Road. Many of you will know Sheena from there, and she's got some friends with her to celebrate and pay tribute to Lilith Fair.
So do folks come and camp? How does it work for those attending?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can stay if you have some friends, stay with some friends, but we do have camping for both RV campers as well as tenting, and that's very close to the festival site. Tenting is actually right on the festival site. Camping is just across the road. So you can come, stay with us Friday all the way till Sunday, and really experience everything that Lac du Bonny and our Fire and Water Festival has to offer.
You mentioned a couple of the acts there. Anything else on the lineup you want to highlight, or any cool kind of workshops, events that you want to draw attention to?
There's so many. You know, we talked about the Lilith Fair. On Saturday, we have Dreams and Rumors, which is a tribute to Fleetwood Mac, and so that's going to be a great act. Also on Saturday, there's a song circle with some songwriters and our local musicians. We really like to feature local musicians. We have the Foo Foo Chi Chi Choir, who are a fan favorite. If you haven't heard them, come on out and see them. Andrew Neville and the Poor Choices are going to be with us. Dom Jacobs, and Alex Mayer is going to be doing some late night light and sound music shows, and that is really a magical experience under the beautiful skies and the stars to see that.
Sounds stunning. Noreen, for those who haven't been before, maybe tell us why folks should check it out. What's so appealing about this cool event?
I think the real the thing that you really enjoy is it's a smaller festival, so you have a chance to really interact with people. You know, we make there's always some great music, but there's also the opportunity to really experience music in a smaller setting. We also really like to feature emerging artists as well. So you might find some new favorites who are just starting out on the scene. You're going to be able to listen to some of your other favorites that you've listened to over the years. And just really in this kind of a setting with that beautiful river in the background, it is really something else to experience music.
It looks stunning. All right, thank you so much for joining us. Sounds like a lot of fun.
All right, and we'll hope to see you this weekend at Fire and Water.
21 degrees right now, mostly cloudy outside, but that sun is peeking through. Winds gusting west at 29 to 45 kilometers per hour. The pressure is falling and the humidity is sitting at 76%. Now, looking to our 7-day forecast, I will say this weekend's a great time to go out to a festival because we're going to have some sunshine on tap and those warm temperatures in the 30s. Today, our high is going to be 26 degrees. We do have that risk of a thunderstorm in the late afternoon time, so keep that in mind just in case, with that 60% chance of showers or light rain according to Environment Canada, and a humidex of 32 degrees. So it might feel like 32 today, but it's going to be a high of 26. For the rest of the week, it's going to be sunshine on tap with beautiful sun clouds. We're taking a break right now, but we'll be back with more CTV Your Morning Winnipeg.
Rooftop arrangements provided by Lacoste Garden Center. Salon services provided by Essentique Spa Salon.
Okay, let's wrap things up with a couple of videos. We're going to start with an easy way to trick toddlers. Just add tape. These tots were a bit confused when confronted with the sticky stuff. They tried ducking under it and touching it, but were unsuccessful with all attempts to break through the barrier. Thwarted again. Adorable. So from toddlers who can't see through tape to one with a stressful job.
Do you like your job?
No.
Why?
I don't like it. And can I just do my pewter?
Yeah.
Capri is only 4 years old, but already feeling the crush of the corporate world. She doesn't like her job or her work friends and would prefer if her mom went away and stopped bothering her. Sounds like she's all grown up. Yeah. Sounds like her mom is unhappy at work. Okay, lastly, another toddler isn't sheepish about their love for animals.
Mama.
Stop. Little Anna likes visiting the sheep house on her family's farm in Iceland. She just loves feeding the sheep, giving them treats. There are other animals on the farm, but the sheep are her favorite. I can see why. That's going to do it for us. We'll see you tomorrow.